was trying to think, it feels like we saw a report or something like that on, a balance. And
We
it
were love, Mr. Chairman.
goes up, it normally
Okay.
comes right back down again in pay it. It's just,
Okay, welcome back, everybody. Today, this is the afternoon session of July 26th. Our next agenda item is the Commissioner Workshop with our Public Relations Specialist, Mackenzie.
Yes.
Come on up to the mic.
All right. I should have emailed these to you, and I can. I apologize.
Yes, please. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'll email them to you.
yes, please.
But it's good to keep. So, I thought this would be a good time to regroup because, I'm going to be out for just a little bit of time. But before that, I think there's a lot we can get organized. This also sort of spurred from a renewed conversation about the brand guidelines, which we were 90% there. And then we had some tweaks between Sherry and Pat and I. I think we're there. So I've been working with Pat on a rollout email for brand guidelines. So we'll start there first. It's pretty simple. It's pretty straightforward. But what she's going to do is send out an email to all employees. It's kind of a checklist that says, okay, these are the brand guidelines. Can you double check that your email is in this format, that your email signature looks like this, that you're using the correct logo? For departments, here's your department letterhead. Use this. Anything you've used going, in the past, that's fine. But moving forward, let's use this one. Business cards, anyone that needs business cards can contact me directly. I've just got a template and there's a list of what you need to email me. We'll get it formatted. I'll send you back a file. We can order. The one question I had for the commissioners on that is if we have a preferred printing partner, or if you'd like me to price some stuff out locally, to see if we want to have a place where we can easily just call upon someone if we need to get business cards printed. I'm happy to run some of that. So we have some numbers and then some consistency. So it's just easy. We can place an order whenever we need to.
I'd love to start local and see where we come in. I mean,
Perfect.
I'm sure that we're going to find it cheaper online somewhere, but
I know. Okay. So business card pricing. Okay. I will do
Who does that? Is Preston the Pines still print? Preston the Pines?
Preston the Pines,
Is it Ian print?
and then Ian at the print shop. I honestly don't know if Jim at Rocky Mountain Signs does business cards. I think he and Ian might coordinate back and forth with that. And I thought there was one other entity. I'll do a little research and see what I can find, and then we'll just kind of get a baseline for that. Generally speaking, are we ordering 250, 500 boxes of cards? Do you guys know? Might depend on the employee, I suppose.
A lot of the time, commissioners, like in my office, we print our own.
Okay.
So I don't know if we kind of stopped going out to having them professionally printed,
Okay.
but
We can do that too.
did you guys print the ones that we have right now, Doug?
Yeah.
That's what I thought.
Okay.
And we used to have an employee that did this
Deb
on the
Haskins
side, but
did,
she's not here anymore, so I don't know where she goes.
I think
Okay.
it'd probably be wise for the commissioners to explore all
Just to
options.
see what's out there?
To see what's out there.
Okay.
I can't imagine though employees needing more than 100.
That's what I was kind of
100 at a
thinking, too.
time.
Again,
That's not
The
that
elected
many.
officials,
or
if
that's
you want.
quite a few.
yeah.
Maybe 250 for elected officials or something. Okay. Perfect. I will, I'll price that out and see. The other thing, and it sort of spurred from the road department, but while we're on that piece, which has to do with the brand guidelines as well, but apparel and signage, like the road department is working on getting, I think, the logos on the trucks updated, which is a process, and Jeff's taking care of that aspect of it. I've been pricing out some apparel, safety vests, and T-shirts, stuff like that crews like that are out and about might use, so that we have we want people to know it's the county doing the work, right? So that's in process as well, and we are using a couple local quotes for that. So I should hopefully have that wrapped up shortly. So we'll see where that lands. But
Mackenzie, I
might be
guess the
good.
only thing I can say about apparel is my feeling is buy the better quality
Yep.
material. Don't buy the light, thin t-shirts.
And that's kind of where we've landed. And it's also just more comfortable. And it's, if you're going to be wearing these for,
Yeah, and they last a
hours a
lot
day.
longer.
Yeah, exactly. So and the companies I've worked with have been great. Like they've given us some direction too on what holds up and what's not worth it and this and that. So I think we're going to land on a good quality product. I just don't have the pricing yet. So that's always kind of an important piece to have. So we'll have that too shortly. And then obviously, that's specifically for the road department, but it would translate across any other departments that might need it for something. So we might have a go-to place to be able to
Strategic
find that.
committee has talked about buying every employee one T-shirt with the star on it, our star logo, so that
Yep.
they could wear them like on a specific day or whatever,
needed.
but
Okay, we can do that too. See. Okay, so then I put this plan together, which is sort of a reiteration of an original plan we had, but just getting more specific. And I really put this in the next 2 months of where we need to, what I would like to see us do to set us up for success for the next 12 months, basically. So there's a couple of key tactics that we have at our disposal, one being the website, and especially because the new website, I don't know the exact date. Everyone's been working so hard on it. I've been a little on the peripheral with that. And I know that they've been pushing to get that done. So I'm assuming that will launch in the next 30-ish days, I think. And it's great. I think that it's a really good opportunity for us to kind of, look at all that content, revamp things. The one question I had, and this is where I need to coordinate with the IT department as well, is I know there's a system in place for any employee to put in, assume you submit an IT ticket if you need the website updated or something updated on the website. And some departments have the capability to update it themselves. So I'm happy to be a stand-in anywhere that's needed. And there might be times when the IT department is completely overwhelmed, and I'm happy to make some simple edits to the website. So that's something that I can coordinate with them on just as a support mechanism. I think there's already a good system in place, but I know a handful of people call me when they need a website update done, and I'm always happy to do it. I just want to make sure that I'm following protocol and not stepping on anyone's toes. So I can work with them on that as well. But I just wanted to make sure that they know I'm a resource as well in case they're getting overwhelmed with something else. Because I know when they do big switches, like over to these different programs, it takes a lot of time and energy. So
I
some of that
think
stuff
really
goes-
the departments, that have to post meetings and agendas and, that kind of stuff.
lot of
So
it themselves.
P&Z, the clerks. I can't, trying to think. I know that Kara, does a lot of work with the GIS and stuff, so obviously Kara's going to have.
And there's, I think the beauty of the new website also is that we can give access to specific pages with specific logins. And so, like for P&Z, Cinda and her staff can have access to the handful of pages that they need to have access to update, the meeting packets and, all the public notices and stuff like that. Because there's a lot of information that just has to be posted. And so I think some of that is already in place. But I can dive deeper with that with the IT department and just make sure, if they need any help or if there's a support aspect that I can offer there, I'm happy to do that. It also sort of kind of puts me to this point where one of my big goals is to get this content calendar put together. And that also includes website stuff. And by website things, I mean not the day-to-day, but I think there's certain events that happen every year and every month that we know have to happen. And it can be as simple as just reminding someone from that department a little ahead of time. And I think about elections, and I think about, the things that happen on a very specific time frame every single year. Can we help facilitate some of that earlier and just make sure that that's streamlined, and then we know it's coming up in this specific month, and so we can be prepared, and then that rolls into a lot of other content aspects of that with social media and press releases and things like that. But just kind of identifying those big things on this calendar. So that's a piece of that, which I'll get into a little bit later. Another couple tactics that we have is press releases. Press releases more for what I would call big newsworthy events. Like not everything doesn't need a press release, but I do think that we've done a good job of trying to be a little bit more consistent. The one thing and this is where it kind of goes back and forth, I get into the next one, which is print advertising, which rather than a press release for everything, because we're also relying on media to pick up the press release, the city of McCall and most recently the Forest Service as well have gone to taking out standard advertising in the local newspaper that is, city council minutes, or for the Forest Service, it's been a lot about fire mitigation and like sheep grazing and things like that, but it's consistent and people start to see it. And I think it might be a good idea for the county to consider something similar. I don't think we need something every week. I think every 2 weeks, or maybe just once a month, but we kind of compile the big things that have happened at commissioners' meetings, big dates, new programs, like, hey, you're going to get your tax letter here, coming up pretty soon, and just take out an ad, a standard ad that we can communicate some of that. So it'd be a combination of some that might be included in a press release in that month, but the information that we don't want to have to rely on media picking up, because we can make sure that we get in there and not just help inform the public. It just becomes a consistent message. So I did price out the ads that I was seeing from the city of McCall and the Forest Service. Most of their ads are 4x8 or 4x10. They get a little longer. The 4-column width is kind of an interesting width. When you look at a newspaper, their standard quarter page is a 3-inch or a 3-column. And the newspaper is 6 columns. So it's half the page. The 4-column makes it just a little bit bigger, and they have to sort of format ads around them. And I think they stand out better. So my recommendation is whatever the height is that we go with, and that's usually the height that determines the size, I think the 4-column width is going to be a better fit for us because it will stand out a little bit more on a page. So I priced out a couple of different options there just for your consideration. And those might range. 1 week, maybe it's a little taller. 1 week, it's a little shorter, and depending on the schedule that we set. But that's another thing that I wanted to bring forth is a tactic that we not really utilize that could be really positive. The other one is social media. Obviously, it's kind of a love-hate relationship. I think everyone has that with social media. It's just a thing. So for the most part, I think our communication has been pretty good there, but it's very reactive. It's like, okay, this is coming down the pipeline. Let's pop this up. And, originally we had talked about getting a content calendar put together that was, highlighting some of the things that happen in each department that might, like, the public is not that informed about, and using it as an opportunity to inform the public. So what I thought might be the easiest way to go about inputting all of this into this big content calendar, this cross-department, countywide content calendar, is to use something like a Google survey to send out to all department heads and elected officials that just asks some very simple things, like what are those annual dates that are really important in your department? What happens, in each month? What are the major programs that are facilitated by that department? And then rate them as far as their perception of how well-informed the public is on those programs. Some people know about, some are really obscure. And so that kind of might help us put some priority on that. And then I also wanted in that survey to have them put the top, 3 to 5 questions, depending, that they get most often from the public on a phone call, on an email, on a whatever, and make sure that that information is front and center on the website, is addressed in social media, is addressed in a lot of different places, because it's obviously the most important information that people are seeking. So we want to make sure that that's really front and center. So my goal there would be to then compile all that information into like one central repository. So we have kind of a quick reference guide and would be able to then utilize that content better and make sure that we're not missing anything. And so we still have room for those reactive posts that we have to do sometimes, but in this way it would be a lot more, I don't want to say well thought out, but it's just planned better. And we have consistent posting across all of our social media platforms. And then on a similar note, the sheriff's social media accounts operate separately from the county, from the Valley County Facebook page, but there is a lot of crossover. So working with Kelly and the sheriff's department on where that cross communication happens. I think there's some natural things on, public safety and, things of that nature. But they run theirs. And so just seeing how we could utilize one another's content to cross-promote and share, because their following is different than ours. And so it's nice to have kind of some different audiences to push really important messages. And then the final tactic that I have listed
Mackenzie,
here.
on that?
Yes.
So like social media, I've talked to a number of people and they go, we don't see the Valley County social media posts. And I'm like, I don't get it. I mean, I've liked it, Cinda's liked it. I'm sure Dave has. And so how do we make it so that it's more consistent with popping up?
You pay for it.
Oh, really?
That's a Facebook algorithm. That's a thing that they did. So unfortunately, there's two ways. There's, so organically, if someone likes a page, any page, our page or whoever it might be, we can recommend that people select that they follow. I mean, you're following it, but you can select on pages that you're really interested in to like force it to put into your newsfeed. So you can ask people to select that option so that they see consistent posts from you. For the general public that might like the page but didn't do that, a lot of it has to do with engagement. How many people are commenting, liking, posting, sharing, things like that. The reason why the algorithm changed, in my opinion, is because these companies wanted to make more money. And so the easiest way to promote that is to pay for your post. It doesn't have to be a lot. I mean, $5 boosts a post to a specific audience in our county. And so for things like that, that might become an important thing where we pick out, maybe it's once a week. This week, what's the most important thing? And let's put $5 behind it. And that will ensure that people see it. It's not foolproof. It's not going to hit everybody, but it'll hit a lot more people. And then the more our following grows, obviously, the more that happens. So unfortunately, there's not an easy answer to that. You kind of put it out there, and if you pay for it, it's going to get in front of more people. But that's the
So
fun
Mackenzie,
part.
just because I'm kind of new at this social media, but like Sherry said, I like to see what the comments are, about certain issues in the county throughout the year, but I can't get on Facebook. So you're saying I need to get on and pay for kind of like a membership or whatever to get that.
You would have to create a Facebook account. They're free. They're free, a free account, so that you can view that. Yes.
Is there a lot of stuff on Facebook? Is it worth me to do that?
Yes, it could really take you down a
If
rabbit
you
hole
wanna
that you
be
may or may not like.
friends.
I personally have a love-hate relationship with all social media. It's great. I mean, it's a great venue to get information out. But I think too, there's an aspect to social media where people, even though they have these accounts, it's that online thing where you're sort of anonymous and people will say whatever. They might not say that to your face, or they might not say it in quite that tone. So there's some really interesting aspects to social
We
media.
get a lot of emails and
sure.
those kind of stuff. That
You get
does
the
that
tone.
too. Yeah, the same tone.
Yep, it's an interesting thing. And different platforms I think carry with them different perceptions. Facebook is definitely, it's interesting. I mean, it was originally, just to network with your friends, and then, business pages came up, and now there's so much misinformation out there, and I think Facebook is one of the worst places for misinformation. And not really through any fault of their own. Because it's hard to regulate that. People can say whatever they want in a nuanced way. It might be 95% accurate, but that 5%'s not. And that's what gets really, I think, frustrating too. I can imagine as an elected official that sees a lot of that feedback, is that when people have it mostly right, but not all right, and it's that little part that's not right that, really just makes you want to comment and help set the record straight, and then you kind of get into these crazy conversations. So it
We
is
have
very
about
positive.
2,200 followers.
I was gonna say,
there's
so-
a lot of people.
That's what I was kind of wondering too, is like from an insights perspective,
Yep.
like the analytics on it. Are we seeing a lot of engagements and traffic and stuff like
We
that?
are, and it
or-
really depends on the post, and that's typical. The nice thing is that with this plan, then it would include like a monthly analytics report where we're looking at what posts did we do, what got the most engagement. Facebook just recently changed how they're tracking engagement, and they're setting like baseline percentages for your normal posts. Like on a normal day, what's your average post engagement? And then each post then gets like a percentage above or below that. Like this is performing below average and this is performing above average. And usually their pitch, right, is that the above average posts boost that and spend a little more money to get it in front of some more people, which is fine, but you don't have to do that. But there are really good analytics on there. And I think the biggest thing is it helps identify what people are really passionate about and what they, I don't want to say could care less about, but is more like an informational post that we felt good that we got it out there, but it's not necessarily resonating with a bunch of people. And in my mind, if that's an important aspect, that's actually the post we should boost to get it in front of more people. The stuff that gets a lot of interaction and may have some big emotional responses, that will organically get in front of everybody. I don't know why. It just does, right? So it's the stuff
Everybody
that we
sharing.
want everyone else to learn about. We've used that. I think we used the example when I first came on about, supplementing the college tuition or the community college.
college,
Which is huge. Like no one knows about that. And that might not get a lot of engagement, but it's really important. And so to me, that's the kind of stuff, like we might do it a little backwards. That's the information we should boost to get in front of more people. So we might use it a little backward compared to others, but in that way we know that our message is getting out there and that information is being shared with as many people as we can put in front of us. So I didn't put budget numbers to really any of these, but I'm happy to. Like if we did boost a post once a week or a couple times a month, like what would that be? It does not have to be astronomical. I mean, I think $10 is by far the top of that, what we'd want to do. It just needs like a little punch to get in front of people sometimes. So
I think we should definitely do that for this next year. Put something in for a monthly. And it doesn't cost you. What Mackenzie's talking about is boosting our posts. So as she's posting
Oh,
for
I
Valley
see. Okay.
County, if you put $5 behind it, it
Goes out to a larger
sends it
audience, yeah.
directly to more people.
I used to do Facebook years ago, and it was like, oh my God, I just blew 3 hours. I can't do this anymore.
do it, I know. Well, and you can target as well. I mean, again, like that, the community college tuition thing, there's like a couple audiences, right? It's like the kids that might be interested in applying for that, but then also maybe their parents. So maybe you can cut out like this middle age bracket where it's like, okay, if we know we're targeting 18-ish students in the Valley County area, you can set geography and age. You can set demographics, you can set psychographics, you can set what they're interested in. So we can target it pretty specifically. And in that way, you can make your $5 work a lot more for you. Because our goal is not to blast this out to the whole state, so that it's like a tourism focused thing. This is like, hey, there's a really pointed information that we think your, demographic should know about. So we can get really specific on that. And then that way, the views we get from that are far more valuable than just a blanket, oh, we got 500 more people to look at this, but it's irrelevant to most of them. So we can do a lot of targeting that way.
So things like if we change building permit fees or conditional use permit fees, or is that the kind of stuff you want on there?
Yeah. Yep. I think it's
Where do they
important
go,
because
up or down?
it's on the website. And again, that's where that kind of information, we don't have to get specific, but putting that in let's say we do a every 2-week ad in the Star News, like putting a section there that's like, hey, building fees, application fees are increasing. Please check out our website for the list of fees. It's just a heads up for people because I think that's where the frustration for, I think, everyone, no matter what you're talking about, is if you don't have the information and you're caught off guard, that's when people get angry. So the more we can just put it in front of there and give people a heads up, I think the better.
And the
There it is.
opportunities to engage. So if we tell people we're going to have an ordinance change, it's going to be on this date, this is the subject matter, and come to the meetings or,
Right.
we can put that out there.
Exactly.
Or even the budget hearings, these are our budget hearings.
Yep.
If you want to engage in your county's budget, this is the time to do that.
Here's your opportunity. Exactly. So yeah, just providing the opportunity so that people know if they want to, they can ignore us, that's fine, but at least they had the opportunity to know.
Well, I
When
used
they
to think that
complain, we go,
the newspaper did all that for us, but there's a lot of people that don't read newspapers anymore.
No, and that's why I feel like we have to have this multi-pronged approach. It's where the website, print newspaper, social media, and then the kind of last one is this monthly e-newsletter. I know that we're working on building that list, but it's that's 4 ways we can put out the same piece of information, and hopefully we'll just cast a wider net. So if they don't read the paper, but they see us on social media, or they don't engage in social media, but they happen to be browsing the website one time. And the new website has the functionality on that homepage to put important dates, important information, like upcoming news, I think is going to be really, really useful and help us along. Because, the current website was not really built for that. It was just kind of a static homepage. So we've been slapping information up there in kind of a haphazard way. But the new website has a very streamlined way to kind of give people the top news of the week. And then here's your upcoming calendar. And it's not just commissioner meetings. It's everything's scheduled at the county. So I think that will be really helpful. So all that in combination, my hope is that we'll catch more people. We'll still miss people. There's something interesting in this county where it's like you have to tell people 15 times and then they know.
25.
I know. I don't know why. I myself included. I miss so much and I'm actually paying attention. So I don't know why. So the monthly newsletters were the last thing on this list, which is again, just kind of a reiteration of everything that we've been doing, but just a different way to do that. We have the infrastructure there. We have a MailChimp account. There's been a list that's been started. We just need to cultivate that list and help grow that list so that people, and those are really, I know some people think that email marketing is dead, but I think it's a really important piece because these people have chosen to want to receive direct communication from you. And to me, that's your most engaged community members. So
And honestly, guys, I haven't put out a newsletter in, oh my God, what's it been, a year?
it's
COVID
hard to
totally
get
just
out there.
took
I
me to
know.
the side. I don't have time to do it. So I asked Mackenzie if she would put that in her
we
plan.
can do that. So to put all this together, like this all sounds great, but like now what do we do? I have this plan in August when I am super available, before August 30th, hopefully. Maybe August 23rd. I don't know. One can hope. But August action items would be, number one, to bring the brand guidelines online. I know it's kind of a separate thing, but we're pretty much ready to launch that. That could happen tomorrow. We just need to sort of pull the trigger on that one. And the email, we've got pretty much drafted. We just want to make sure that everything is there. And then there's a couple updates to signage and apparel, namely that big guy right behind you. We're going to get that reprinted.
Yay.
Okay. And a couple other things like that. I would say in August, the expectation is that the new website is going to be launched. So I can confirm with IT, but it should be right around there, or at least the very 1st of September. So once that is in place, I think it opens up a whole world of possibility. I'd also like to launch that department survey where we're asking people, what are your important dates? What are your main programs? What are the topics that people keep calling you about? So we have that to then integrate into this template. And then the email newsletter sign up, just putting a big focus on that, making sure it's on the website, making sure we're promoting that across all these platforms we've been talking about, to just start growing that list. And then
Somebody said too, if we had a little card to hand out, when they are in the office doing something,
Yeah.
well, you could do this online next time.
Yep. We can do
And-
that too.
Yeah.
Perfect. So just August is essentially setting the stage for like a big launch of all this in September is sort of where we're at. I want to get a template created for a print ad. And if you guys decide you want to do a recurring ad, then great. If it's something that we use on a one-off once a month, that's fine. But I think a template would be really helpful so we can just pop in some information when we need to. And then also a template for the monthly email newsletter. Like, let's just get a template and kind of a system in place. It's this is protocol building month is really what it is. And then in September, I'll compile all this information and put a preliminary draft of what I'm calling the comprehensive content calendar together, which is everything that we would need to do. Ideally, we're looking at a 12-month time period with a focus on a rolling like 30 to 45 day time frame. So we have big dates, but then we're going to get real specific at 30 to 45 days out at all times. So each week we'd update a week in advance of what's coming down the pipeline so that we can be really organized on scheduling all this stuff out. And then also in September, that's when things get initiated. So we initiate print ads, we initiate the email newsletter with approval from you all if you want to review that content calendar structure. Then we'll just start pre-scheduling a lot of these posts. I mean, that's the beauty is that especially with social media, I use programs where I can sit down in 3 hours and schedule out an entire month of posts. And so it streamlines that. We got to know what you're going to post about. And so that's where this content calendar really becomes helpful. And I do realize that I'm like 8.5 months pregnant and it's like, how are you going to do all this? But it's fine. It's just me. I did hire some employees, so I'm not a one-woman show anymore. I know, and I'm pretty excited about it. So I'm going to bring them online as well. And so they'll be there to support me when, I have a child. And then 3 days later, we'll get that kid back to work and we'll just be back. That's how that works.
Because you can't take more than 3 days at a time off.
you know I'm not going to be able to not check my email. I couldn't the last time. This one's not going to be any different. So anyway,
And Mackenzie, in all of this too, I have a question. So
Yes.
what about a community survey? You know, what would you like to hear from the commissioners?
Yep.
And put out a community survey in some way and
We
just
can
say,
do
you know,
that.
what are your top priorities for the county? What would you like to hear about? Those types of things. That might be kind of intriguing also. I don't know what you guys think.
No, I
but-
agree.
it could be intriguing or it could give you heartburn. I don't know.
It could be heartburn too, but I think
One way or
it's
the
good
other.
that we can get that information back from what the community is thinking about.
And maybe we need a list of, you know, these are our top 10 priorities. Will you prioritize those for us and you know, just get some information back. I know that, you know, EMS would be number 12, so don't put that one in there at all.
Oh, yeah, I get it. Okay.
Mackenzie, or maybe this is more a question for Doug, but did we budget anything for her for advertising, Doug? We didn't.
No,
did we? I don't
because
think did.
any type of advertising or printing just is budgeted for and under the commissioner's
commissioners.
budget. Yeah.
So we really, I think, need to go back and look at that line item, because if you're doing 400 every 2 weeks for printing, you're looking at a little over 10,000 a year.
Yeah, I mean, it adds up quick.
So we need to make sure.
Do you want me
we
to
have
put
that.
just a simple like budget with some options together on, you know, on how often things happen, what that might look like? I don't.
Honestly, I feel like, to me, I would rather you handle that. I think this needs to be in the newspaper next week, or we can skip 2 weeks or whatever, but that's going to be your call.
Okay.
Now, as we get things come up, you know, I'm trying to think of an example like the waterways ordinance here next year.
Right.
That's going to be huge.
Yep.
And those will probably be every week for up until the hearing, you know, that kind of stuff.
Well, and two special
should be in
programs,
their
I know,
plan.
like, I think back to like recycling, like we did some really pointed ads on recycling, and that came out of the, you know, waste management, waste and building department, budget. Cause that was like a special project for them. So that and to be honest, I don't really know where that crossover happens. If it's like county-wide messaging, then it comes out of like this one budget that's under me. But if it's a specific project for a specific department, then it's out of a department budget.
That's
Yep.
correct.
Yep.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, it's P and Z pays for it, MERV pays for it.
Like the,
You know, it's
Okay.
kind of split up, but I think you kind of need your own budget for that.
I'm have a good time budgeting.
And it would be a claims process and all that stuff through
Yeah.
Star News and you. And
Yep.
but I think long term, it's going to be more communication with the voters and the
Yep, for
constituents.
sure. Okay. Do you
We
need
gotta
anything
remember that.
from me? I know you guys are doing budget workshops and stuff now, but that one might have passed. Do you need anything from me formally to consider that in there?
Well, I think it is kind of formally here on the bottom of the first page.
It is. The
Talking about-
only difference would be is if you want to include any other, like we talked about, you know, promoting some social media posts and stuff like that. If that was $5 a week, you know, what would that be? That's not really in here, but I could easily add that in just so you've got it for reference.
So we put your contract in, so would it be something that would be included in your contract?
I think it'd be separate.
Maybe
It would be
separate.
separate,
Because her
okay.
contract specifically pays her hourly rate that she's billing the county. Anything above and beyond should probably, like printing costs, should be, you know, allocated to one specific expense line.
Okay.
And I'm assuming it would be commissioners.
Yeah, because the only other way that would, I mean, Mackenzie would have to be paying for it and then reimbursed, and then getting reimbursed from the county for it, and that probably isn't the most appropriate course of action. It really should probably be the county paying for this printing or this cost.
Yep. Okay.
That's how I would,
We do it kind of like for Firewise.
Yep.
We have anything that comes through Firewise, but there's a separate account. Pays that Star News ad or whatever it is.
Okay. Yeah, that works for me. I mean, however you guys want to set that up.
I did. I saw a lot of errors.
I'm going to write a note to make sure we get that included in there.
And I'll add any budget, like big or small, I'll add that to this communication plan and re-email that out later this afternoon so you have it.
Yeah, if you think of anything else,
Yep, just so that
Maybe,
we
you know,
cover all the bases and.
$200 for the $5 Facebook charge or something like that.
Okay.
Mackenzie, if, this probably isn't the appropriate time, but I'm going to ask it anyway, because it's not a budget workshop, but do you envision the PIO work that you're doing for COVID, do you anticipate that continuing?
I mean, no, I
Because we
don't
did,
think so.
we're close to coming close to expending all of the entire budget that we
Right.
budgeted for fiscal year 2021 for public relations. And I'm
Yep.
just wanting to know if we need to make an adjustment to that.
So
We are going to be getting
weird.
reimbursed. However, yeah,
So are you talking the total between the COVID stuff and the county stuff is reaching budget, or just the county public relations?
both of them are.
Okay, they're both reaching.
Yeah.
So I would say the total expenditure of time is probably going to still be consistent because there'll be more of this, but it's
Okay.
far less on the COVID stuff. I'm happy to still track when I do a few of those, but the task force in general, is shifting gears away from that, and I don't feel super comfortable billing time unless we're talking. There might be a few like vaccination messaging things coming out of that, but
Then I
it's
think the commissioners
shifted.
just need to take into consideration of potentially increasing that public
What, do
relations.
you remember what
line.
that is? Was it 32?
23,000 right now.
Dyslexic today. Okay, so we need to make sure we talk about that too, Doug.
Sorry for
Um,
interrupting. Thank
No,
you.
that's good.
And we plugged that number in, so you may
Yeah.
provide feedback if your contract is going to be different than that, so.
Well, and it's interesting because I would have guessed maybe this year it would have been a little less, except for the COVID stuff, which just blew up and was like more hours, especially initially, than I think we had planned for on a month-to-month basis. So I think that number is probably still accurate. It's gonna like even out a little bit and settle. It was like very volatile there for a while about what needed to happen. The only other thing I would say is like if you guys know big projects are coming up, like the waterways stuff, they've been running with that, and I've just been running kind of supplemental messaging to help push that out. But if there's any big chunk of that is going to become, more in our lap, or if there's any big levy pushes, or like anything that's going to go on the ballot from the county, I feel like those big projects could potentially rack up more hours, whether that's out of mine or whether it's out of the department that it specifically impacts. That's what I leave that to your decision. I don't know.
So Sherry or Mackenzie, my question to you guys is, okay, the next thing coming up is the fair.
Mm-hmm.
We really want to push that. Does that come out of this budget, or is there a separate budget for the fair to pay for this? I don't know.
It depends what type of PR
Right.
we are doing. I mean, if you're having Mackenzie do like Facebook posts and things of that nature, then that would just be
Kind of just flows into the natural content of it.
Correct.
I think that's where like if we're doing specific advertising, if we're running radio ads, if we're doing, any sort of digital advertising, stuff like that sort of pointed advertising to me becomes a department thing. Whereas if it's like if it's a line item in the print ad we're running, or on a social media post that we're already managing, or the website that we're updating, or this newsletter that we're putting out on behalf of the county, and it's part of, just the general flow of information, like that to me would be more my budget. But anything specific that they would want advertised, or a specific.
I had reached out to them. I don't know
Yeah.
if they reached back or not,
They
but
didn't. That just reminded me I need to follow up.
so the fair board had some stumbles with their Facebook page. It was tied to an old person's Facebook, so they need to set up a whole new Facebook page and a new website. And so I had them reach directly out to Mackenzie and would be contracting with her directly. That would not be something the county would pay for.
The county goes.
That should come out of their budget.
Right.
So-
But
That's,
But anything we promote on their behalf as the county,
yeah.
and most of that would probably fall just under some general stuff. Because then to me, like then if they wanted to run like specific ads in the Star News, like that would be their own decision and their budget. But we could include that as like, hey, mark your calendars, the fair is coming up, in our ad that we're taking out for the county. So a bit of cross promotion. I think that would.
Well, I guess I'm just trying to figure out how to use it. Like right now, our MRF is stuffed to the gills. We don't have any room for any more trash because we can't get it out fast enough. And my thing is, okay, can we put something out to the general public? Please don't bring your trash for a week or two until we can get caught up. Or is that what this is for? Is those kind of things?
Yep, can definitely be for that. I think that's all of the above. I mean, that's website, that's social, that's an ad that we place. That's, that to me could also be a press release. Like to me, that's important news that, similar to, I think I don't know if Cascade's done it. The city of McCall asked people to stop watering their lawns
Right.
like so often, like please go every other day. Things like that. Like that's exactly I think what this is
Okay,
for is informing the public on any important issue, big or small, that is impacting them. So
Do you have, Mackenzie, do you have like with, thinking about like every 2 weeks putting something in the Star News, do we have like a regular schedule? Are you doing like a weekly update for Facebook page stuff? Like even if you don't have
We do
specific
sort
content,
of.
like a did you know?
yeah,
We were doing
so-
some cool stuff last year with Recycling Center and the
Yeah, I mean,
Mind You- Mind You
we've done it
Wait
on like
program.
on a project basis, but we've not done it like county-wide, and that's where I think there are some big projects that get a lot of attention, like recycling and elections and like big things that are happening. It's a lot of the more obscure programs. I feel like we fall through the cracks because they're not necessarily. I'm not going to say newsworthy. It's not that they're important, but like nothing big is changing like today or next week, and there's not a deadline. It's just that they are here and they're accessible, but people don't know about them.
So our Firewise grants, that should have been out there, or, a lot of that
Right.
kind of stuff.
And
Bring
part
it,
of it
don't
too-
burn it.
Part of it is the flow of communication as well. I mean, I know that, there's a commissioner meeting, but I also want to try to figure out big things that are happening so that I can reach out to the necessary department and be like, hey, I know this month you always do a big push on XYZ. What's new this year? What's happening? And then that way I can get the data and make sure that I'm not missing anybody, that might need that help. So it's really just organizing. It's a lot of organizing. We're doing like a home edit is what we're doing.
Are you looking at the agendas when they come out? Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yep. And I watch most of the meetings here, just via, YouTube from
Like
my.
today, we found out the Yellow Pines water system we got the grants for all that. I think it was 300,000 or something.
Yep.
And to me, I hope it makes the Star News. That's really good news. For
Right, and that's
Yellow
where it's
Pines.
like, I know that, but then I'm like, I need to know who to contact to get like the full story so we can write a full press release on that. So that's partially where I need to be better about reaching out to people when I hear stuff like that happening and figuring out, who's the best person to contact for that information. I'm happy to run with the information. I just want to make sure that I'm contacting the right
We need to
people
put her
in a
contact
timely
with
manner.
Mary or Mary with her.
Any grants? It's Mary Rosen, so,
Yep.
yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Hey, we got about 2 more minutes. Anything else we need to talk about? I think you're doing a great job. I know that a lot of the heat is off us on some of these things, so you guys must be getting the word out.
Oh, we hope so. I'm like, what's next, right?
Yeah,
Don't ask, knock on wood,
you
right?
go from one wreck to the next.
Make a drought.
We're here. It's just what we need, right? All right. Well, perfect. I will update this with some budget items and just kind of a few things that we've chatted about today and resend that out. And then if there's anything specific on budget or any of these tactics that you're needing me to do, that's fine. But if you guys are good with the plan, then I'm going to run with my August to-do list and just go forth.
Yeah, I think just to me, like, it seems like we want to make sure that you're covered on your end of the contract because we're going to be doing like more regular things.
Yep.
Rather than the reactionary
Yep.
things.
Yes. And I'm good. And just so you know, I've got people in place to take over for me I joke when I say 3 days. It might be 4 weeks. Let's just be honest. So 4 weeks and there'll be someone else that can do it for me and know what's going on. So,
That's good to know. That's great.
so yes, you will not be left high and dry.
Thank you very much for coming in today.
Of
Appreciate
course.
it.
Thank you guys.
And it's been a big help. Okay, we're going to go on to our next agenda item. This is not an action item. This is a budget workshop with the Valley County EMS, and we've got all the chiefs here today and the sub-chiefs and the part chiefs. So you guys want to come up the table or you want to sit there? However do you want to do this?
How's the fire season, guys?
Come on up to the table. Yeah, I thank you, Juan, for reminding me. So at this time, I'm going to recess from the Valley County Commissioners and reconvene as the EMS Board for Valley County, 1:45. And do we have anything for these guys, Doug? You sent us?
It's on what I've provided just
That's
as
it
the
right
LT
there. Just
worksheet.
found it.
Guys holding it all together out there?
Yeah,
Been busy, huh?
it's
So it looks like we're going for a 3% increase again this year, which is about 34,430. Is that correct? Split 3 ways. So that's gonna come up with a total of $1,208,630. How much of that are we gonna keep out for the reserve and how much are we gonna split three ways? We got those figures?
25,000 for cash forward.
You know, Juan, how much we got in there now?
Yeah, give me one.
19,000.
We need to make, bear with me one second.
Sure.
Mr. Chairman.
And
We need to make the second half payment to the EMS, to the fire districts for EMS services. We are prepared to do that. Usually we wait for the, of course, the second half tax drive to do that, but
Juan, do you know, is it usually 25 grand we take out every year?
Fluctuates, but it's always been a minimum.
So I end up with 1,183,630 that we divide three ways, is that correct? $394,543. What you guys got?
Yep.
Is there any way we could just make that an even 395,000?
You'd be taking less than 25,000.
Well, it's like $1,400.
I would agree with that.
I didn't think we'd get much of an argument. Doug, are you good with that?
I was pulling up the spreadsheets and not paying any attention to the
We're-
I'm
comments that
trying
were
to find
made.
this
so.
spreadsheet also. Doug, when did you send that to us?
That was this morning, 7:46 a.m.
Wrong folder.
Oh, shoot, no, I lost it.
I can send it again.
No, I got it. I got it back up. But how much do we have in reserve now?
So what's in that, what we have right now is $671,738.87. We need to make the payments to the fire districts of $183,928. So. bear
Times
with
three.
me. That's 551,000. There's also some discussions if I can't remember who is up for the new ambulance.
Cascade is.
Okay, and we have not seen an invoice
We have
for that.
still waiting to hear on a grant
Okay,
for an ambulance. The state will let us know by July 31st whether or not we.
And they're running now, what, about 380,000?
Well, the grant's for 140 from the state, and the new ambulance is about 220.
Oh, it's only 220 now?
Yeah, that's all.
Maybe I'm thinking of graders.
Pick up.
so after the payments are made, there'll be $119,954.87 in the account minus 25,000.
That 25,000.
So what'd you end up getting?
$94,954.87 will be in the account after all of those expenditures are made. To be
So almost 95 grand on reserve.
correct.
And tell me what the reserves normally used for?
It was reserved in the past for the study that was done. Also for the ambulances, matches for ambulance grants. So that's what that,
And each year,
It's
each
been
district
utilized
gets a new ambulance and it just rotates through. And if you've got, you said the state grant was what, 100,000?
It's 140.
Oh, so you won't even need all the 95 to get this thing bought, will you?
We get 25 from the county.
25,000.
165. Okay. So there's about 35,000 the district will have to come up with. Okay.
More than that.
So really, we're
You know,
leaving 95 in there almost every year then, if we're putting 25 in and we're just taking 25 out for an ambulance every year. So pretty much 95
The
is our
lowest that
minimum.
it has gotten was in 2020, and that was because of the
Study.
study was done with 63,000.
The original threshold limit was 50,000. So we tried to keep it. Yep, never met. And the reason for that was so that and that's one thing, moving forward, not every year, we're not gonna be due for an ambulance every year. So, because last year we budgeted for 25,000 for an ambulance, we didn't get the grant we're doing this year. So that money does accrue over time, because not every year we're buying an ambulance. So one idea that we talked about was equipment replacement or what to do. That none of us are due for that 25,000. Like that between us that year and have extra money, have a bottom dollar or an average that we keep in that savings account and not just have it keep building.
Makes sense.
The original intent was for the ambulances and for equipment. And it was big item equipment, like heart monitors, Lucas devices, which is our aids. And vents. Oh, and vents.
So is that something too, like if you guys had equipment, is it something you guys can share any of it?
So
Or is it
we're trying to
specialized
fall
enough?
in line with the EMS study, where it said we had all the same types of equipment, so it doesn't matter what ambulance you get on.
Got it.
In order to do that. Right now, the state is paying a lot of those grants. But we're in lieu of grants that we didn't get rather than waiting the next year to be able to each district decide an administrative conflict that cascades up for some equipment. I mean, for the ambulance, this year they got the 25, they can take some of that portion. To upgrade. All the same. That would be the original.
So would you want to sell the ambulances? I saw a lot of guys, or not a lot, but I did see guys that had old ambulances this weekend and shove their dirt bikes in the back of them and use them for camp trailers.
In the front, dirt bikes in the back. Nothing like two-stroke.
There's a whole market there.
There is.
So I guess what I'm thinking of is we don't take quite 25,000. We give you guys a little bit more, so it comes up to 395,000 even. But what's going through my mind is if we've got 90-some thousand in reserve, maybe that's too much. Maybe we need to go clear to 400,000. Because I know you guys need the
I
funds.
appreciate that, but the problem is we've done that in the past. And what happens is then we get to a year like 2019 where the 3% of new construction doesn't cover cost increase. And there isn't enough in the cash forward to make up the difference, and then we actually get less than 3%. And that's my only concern. If we take too much out of this year's budget, we won't be able to rectify that for next year's budget and may have to take less money next year.
We're kind of doing the same thing here with the foregone. And okay, if we overspend this year, what are we going to do next year? Because we don't have that
But I
revenue.
would take the 4,000, 400,000, and I'm sure these would too. It just have to be on the numbers that. Mr.
Well, it
Miller
would be
see
instead
that-
of 25,000, we'd
Yeah.
only take 10, and you guys would split the other 15. That would get you to 400,000. If you don't want it,
No, we do want it, but I just want to make sure it's going to work out for the books, for their clerk.
Doug, how do you feel about that? Is that 95,000 is quite a bit to carry over.
I mean, the problem is you don't want to deplete
No.
what you have, right? I mean,
Well, the hard part about when we allocate it to us for a budget year, right, if you give us positive, we're gonna expect next year we're gonna get 100 volume.
And-
So if it ends up being back to 395, it's, or, like, one of the things we could do with that remaining money is do stuff that collectively benefits all of us. We could submit for the ESO reporting program, about $10,000 for all of us. together. That fund could pay for that or reimburse it.
What is
way,
that?
It's not allocated to our line item. It's
Oh.
just offsetting our budget.
So what does the ESO do? What is that, Garrett? I don't know what that is.
It's our, patient care reporting system and
Hmm?
tracks all of our data. We do our.
This is a software program.
Yeah. It's a software
Okay.
program.
Is there an annual fee, maintenance fee and all that stuff? That's where you get into,
There's stuff like that that we could do collectively that benefits all three of us and really good. We're working together and collecting data. And then if we got reimbursed from that account through the leftover fund, it's not gonna show on our line
Right,
item what
right.
we get from the county. It's like
That would benefit all three of us.
something like that, you guys are agreeing to stick to with the 395 and then whatever the difference is on the 25 grand to get to 395, then we'll put in the reserve and then you be authorized to use 10,000 for the ESO program.
We'd also like to use 7,500 to play our EMS fee, or our dispatch fee. 2,500 feet. Right now, we're currently taking an additional $2,500 out of each district, pay for 911 dues. And if we look at the EMS study, it's supposed to be collaborative. Why don't we have the same fund pay for $7,500 on EMS 911?
Makes sense.
So that would be 1,700 and
That would put it down to around 78,000. I had it right?
Is there, I
And then
apologize.
Annually, we could look at that. Travis and I were talking about it earlier. Particularly better than I can. How do you?
Oh, I know
the
your
process for that money?
Yeah, so the thought process is set up some sort of, almost like a granting application where, you know, if Cascade needed a Lucas CPR, you know, assist device, then they would submit this application to the Valley County HIMSAC board. We would review it, or some reviewer would review that and then determine whether or not that was an appropriate expenditure of the funds. And that way, you know, there's a validation process built into it, and we're making sure we're kind of rotating that money around. But we wouldn't be reaching into that pot unless we
I like your idea of the EMS board though, approving
Yeah, the
that. I think
EMS
that's
board
great.
would review that. So you'd have medical directors
Right.
and all three of
Right.
us, you know, that would go, yeah, that makes sense to get that to Cascade or down there.
It's probably gonna be kind of a short notice item. Something that just broke or crashed.
Yeah, quarterly is what we need, so it could be visited quarterly, but, you know, there's also, like, if we apply for a Lucas, that thing costs about, you get about $12,000 from the state, and they're $15,000, so there's always that gap, you know, from, you know, and they don't call it a match, they just give you the money, but, you know, that's something that can be used for when we have some shortages, is make that application, just like we do to the state when we ask for that application. Then you kind of have a fair and democratic process in determining where that money goes. There's some validation in it, and we're not back here arguing over it every year.
Great idea.
That sounds
I
really
think
good.
that's,
we would be looking at the EOS system being a countywide system that's catching dues out of the fund. We can utilize that $2,500 that we're paying out of dues into on that.
This is a real stupid question, but it's not a centralized system. Each department has this system on separately. Is that correct? Or
911?
no,
Yes.
So
the
So
ESO?
currently, we have ESO. We've talked about doing a enterprise account, basically, and then splitting the fees, but if we could just pay that fee annually through the MSAC
Yeah.
with the money.
I like that idea a lot.
yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Then we're all on the same page, all reporting the same.
And the data's the
And
same.
we're following the guidelines that we're trying to follow through the collaborative effort.
Okay, so I'm gonna sum this up. You guys correct me if I'm wrong. We're gonna shoot for 395,000 each with a 3% increase. The rest of the funds are going into the reserve. In that reserve, you're gonna have the ability to pay dispatch and the ESO cost, whatever those are.
Mr. Chairman, just to let you know, that's going to be the presentation at the public hearing.
Right.
That this
We're
is
not
exactly-
making any decisions
No,
today.
this is what, yeah, this is,
Want to make sure everybody's on the same page.
proposed.
Yeah.
Yep.
And then I think that the application Travis talked about with the MSAP committee, and then if there's a recommendation from, then they get on the commission. Get it approved by commission.
I like it. Everybody good with it?
Definitely.
Okay, is there anything else? How about numbers? A lot more runs this year? I bet you guys are swamped.
Yeah, it's close to average. Or in Cascade, it goes in waves, 12 months and then.
You guys been responding to like a lot of little fires, like within the,
Since they turned burn permits off, we haven't, but as far as like campfire complaints, we had a lot of those.
Yeah.
Anybody sees fire, they're panicking.
right, that's kind of what I was getting at, is I mean, I've heard that from some people too. We've been
Yeah.
getting emails to that effect.
Right. You still have a campfire on your property.
So what would be your thoughts? We have a huge trash issue right now. I mean, just the transfer station is
Oh,
full.
yeah.
You
If
just
we
burn
tell
it?
people, well, I'm concerned that people are just going to go out and burn it. I mean, so are we?
You don't want them burning it out
We
wherever
don't
they are
want
in the
it.
woods.
No.
And usually what happens is if it's Murph is full, they'll drive down farm to market somewhere, look around, and throw it off the side of the road.
Right.
Is it
Or-
woody debris that's full, or
A
what's?
good majority of it is we have some big houses being torn down, and we need to talk about Murph, those fees, because they're bringing the whole building into that Murph, and they're not sorting it, and it's $250 a load. They
Well,
just
I'm
charge that back
wondering-
to the homeowners, so it's,
The
and
woody
we're,
debris and the construction debris, we could do some stuff to make sure, like do 2 piles of each. They're not such big fires, but, talking to my captain, we can have pretty big fires and still make them manageable, because we're not burning till winter.
right?
And there's no cost to the county to burn.
And that's
We
been
can continue
great,
to do that as long as the statute doesn't change.
right?
That's what I'm wondering, do we do something with some of that material that's being delivered up there? Can you burn some of that or?
You can burn the wood, you can't burn the sheetrock and the tiles and all that other stuff. It has to be sorted. And these guys aren't sorting it. They're coming in with excavators and crushing it and mashing it, hauling it up in big dump trucks. And
And there can be a certain percentage, I think it's 10% can be dirty in the construction debris. And what we do every time we fill out the little form for DEQ, we just say 10%, we max it out. If they ask me that question, yeah, it's 10%.
Well, and I don't know how to encourage the commercial guys to sort these houses when they're tearing them down. They don't
We're
want
not going to
to.
do that.
No.
Exactly.
Yeah. Happen. Not my area of expertise, so I was questioning. I don't know, but I definitely don't want a bunch of trash just being burnt all over the county because they can't get it to the MRF. So that's the only concern I have.
I don't know if you guys saw Channel 7 News yesterday about Kootenai County and the trash issues they're having up there, where they're having to run twice a week for all these dumpsters instead of once a week. And
Into that point, a lot of dumpsters around town, one day they're full and the trash don't come out.
There's the,
yeah. And when we're in discussion with Scott, the issue they're having is the same issue all of us are having, is they can't find help.
Right.
Nobody wants to do that job. And they've had some trucks broke down the last couple of weeks. They broke an axle over in Council, and that truck went to Boise. And so he's got to find more long haul trucks and trailers and drivers, and just can't find them.
Steve, are you seeing a lot of? I'm sorry.
Oh, go ahead.
Are you seeing a lot of emergency need in the canyon? I mean, what's our canyon?
As far as traffic accidents?
Yeah. Just wondering, what?
No, it's
No?
nothing
Not out of.
ordinary.
Okay.
Seems, my theory on it, when traffic gets lined up so much, they just kind of S through the canyon. Just bumper to bumper the whole way.
It's actually better than
Yeah, there's less accidents.
some of the
when it's lined
idiots
up.
that.
A lot harder to get excited about passing when there's a
Yeah.
mile long
Right.
line instead of,
You have
4 or
in a
5.
row and guys pass them. So there's no.
I was just gonna ask you real quick while you guys are in here too, is have you guys seen like an increase in the backcountry responses or like lakes, things like that? It seems like we got a lot more people out in every kind of recreation, ATVs, motos, bicycles, boats. Mm-hmm.
Seem to be this higher acuity, like more significant, more people. So more resource intensive calls with, when we had to call with you guys. You guys had air medical that was requested.
We're in
and
Adams
you needed
County, yeah. and
air
you guys were-
medical, and that's all. And what we're seeing is a lot more overlap with stuff. I mean, last week we had 5 incidents in which we had multiple calls at the same time. That's a tough one. So
Well, yeah, and it
We've
concerned
already
me.
had a few runs where all the ambulances are out.
That's what I was gonna say, man.
Our backup ambulance is out the door just in case to cover somebody else because the others are already out.
I think all three of us collectively are volunteers. Our volunteers working more than full time. Other shift after on call, so all of our full time are covering that overage, which is the whole system.
In your budget, big
Are you
time.
guys doing any 5-year plans to see what you're gonna need as far as personnel in the next 5 years? Or is it too hard to plan for that?
We do 36-month-year plans and we're already 2 people down. Where we should be. We're already down. And then we'll probably be down years. With the new statute, all of our funding and construction would have gone to that. Now it's sitting on the table. Price and
Contact your legislators. We're doing
You
the
know, and
same.
it's so strange because we had all this, foregone money that we could have taxed that we didn't, thinking we were doing a great job of keeping them low, and then they turn around and say, we're gonna take it away from you. It's like, you should be doing the opposite. But they took it away and are gonna take it away, and it's like,
Rhyme or reason.
doesn't make any sense. Hey, anything
For all
else?
you do, guys. Thanks for all you do.
Commissioners, before we close this out, I guess one topic that is coming to my mind is regarding the Yellow Pine ambulance.
Oh,
yeah.
Good point.
And the operation of that, has that been flushed out yet?
Yeah, this
Chief
is still
or not?
gonna continue out there. Jeff and Ann Forster ran that. We radio happening. They still volunteer for Cascade and they can go and support us and we will along with the ambulance. Once it comes out of Cascade, they can do primary care.
I just think the commissioners are probably fully aware of that now. Not only is Cascade having to deal with Valley Floor, they're having to go to the backcountry Yellow Pine because the ambulance operations back there is.
Steve, how many runs you make on a year to Yellow Pine or Warm Lake?
Oh, well, just Yellow Pine itself, it's between 6 and 10 Yellow Pine. But Warm Lake in the backcountry, there's probably that many more. And it's the same as when all goes to Idaho County, it's concerning when I send an ambulance to Honeymoon Lake or whatever for a horse rack and your crew's gone for 6 hours and that's your primary response. Yeah. Yeah, right.
Didn't they take your state license away from you?
So we get spread really thin, real quick. So,
Where are we on the study? Is that gal all done or?
Acting study? Yeah. Cascades, the city's formed an impact fee advisory committee. All we are on the agenda is March 12th to formally adopt a impact fee advisory committee. But I understand all the work for Valley County's been done and all about.
I need to form it.
I think, I can't remember her name now.
And
Ann is trying to get on the agenda to come in and see us to basically inform us of that fact that we need the committee next, that's the next step. And see what we can do to get that done. I don't think it's a real long-term kind of a service, so hopefully have you seen anything come out of it? Does it look good? Have you?
We really won't see anything until that advisory committee's formed.
yeah.
Hmm.
Come up with some stuff that's really just stuff that I've done. I've told a lot of people because I've tried to vote for it. So we have that committee and then actually study report. It really isn't.
So we just gotta be patient on that. Work the system and it'll eventually show up, maybe by winter time, huh? Hopefully. Okay? Anything else we need to talk about? So we're all good? For now?
Tired.
So then we'll have the
Public
regular.
hearing August 23rd at 2 PM.
August 23rd, 2 PM. Good. Everything worked out great.
Yep. Thanks again, and boy, it sounds like you guys are doing a lot of collaboration, so I mean, I think that's really good to see.
Thanks for all you do for our citizens.
Yep. Be safe out there. Don't get too hot.
Don't even start.
Free ones, come
You
on!
sound like the sheriff's office.
We just got them a drone. Won't even,
Pay the fuel.
won't even start.
Look for
You'll buy
grant
the,
funding.
hey, we'll buy the tires for it.
Can we just settle on that?
All right, guys, be safe. Okay, we're gonna move on down to our agenda. I'm sorry, Dorena, we're a little late. Our next agenda item is Valley Soil and Water Conservation District. And we have some action items. You want to come up to the mic? Letter of support.
Okay, the letter of support is for a source water protection grant for, it's at max at 10,000. So we're proposing a pilot program for septic pump out at the southwest end of the reservoir
Okay.
along West Mountain Road. So it will only do 40 units. The $10,000, we figure 8,000 for the actual pump out cost share. The landowner will pay 50% and the program will pay 50%. And then the rest is administration and about 1,000 in mailing and printed materials.
You said it would do about 40?
We're only going to, yeah, because it's 200 units, $200 per unit. So we figure 40 units for $8,000 out of the $10,000 grant.
And it's a one-time pump kind of a deal? One-time deal?
Yep.
Okay.
Are there really people that don't pump their septics? I mean, are you?
There are still people utilizing 50-gallon drums to, over on that West Mountain Road.
And there's a lot of those systems that have more water coming in
Yep.
from groundwater than from the house,
Yes.
which then goes through and
So-
takes the septic with it and goes right to the lake.
And that area on that southwest end always shows early on for bacteria and cyanobacteria and nutrients early on in the satellite imagery. So this is a start. It's only $10,000. It's not a big grant. It just is due this week, and
Get
we
it.
figured we'd get in
No,
for
I
it.
was gonna say, get it. That's great. I mean,
Yeah.
anything is better than nothing.
Right. And what it will allow is us to get a program on the ground, 40 units, and then make adjustments to a program and then go for a bigger grant to address the issue further. So
How much do you work with that Southern Valley Sewer and Water?
they will be highly involved with this. We're talking with them, with Leonard Long, about them actually doing the outreach, a lot of door-to-door, just communication, neighbor to neighbor. So I will be doing the administration on the grant and the invoicing and that sort of thing, but we're hoping that this will also serve as an activation point for that district. So we're working on it. So,
So I need a motion then to approve this grant application, and you, I'm assuming, will write the letter of support for us?
I think you included one.
Did you?
There was one in our
Yeah, it's
packet.
in-
I did not bring a printed copy? You got it? Okay.
You
So
got
is
it?
writ-
Oh,
It is
good.
written. Okay.
I just need to go down and
Get it.
get it off the printer.
I can
If
go
you
get
approve
it.
So, I'm sorry, I might have missed it. Did you say there is a match portion on this, or is there?
Yes, so the district will contribute match through administration, and the landowners will be, their $200, 50% portion will be considered match. And then Leonard is also contributing ours and the South Lake Sewer District. So we have plenty of match. We always have plenty of match.
Okay.
Karina, which one is this one? This is the The IDEQ or the ISWCC? I think this is
We
the
have two on the
IDEQ.
agenda. We got one for,
Oh, it's
The one that she's
IDEQ.
talking
It's a
is-
grant application.
Okay.
The other is the state commission match funding
Got
letter.
it.
We do that every year.
Yes.
I'm going to make a motion then that we approve the DEQ Source Water Protection Grant application and authorize a letter of support.
second that.
Moved and second. Any more discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. Now we'll go back up to the state.
Sure.
And I'm sure you guys have been working with Doug on pretty much kind of the same as last year, or?
Yes, so it's essentially the same as last year.
So the change that I see coming is with your guys' office space and what we do with that. So if we're putting this in a document, I mean, how soon are we
So
thinking about
this
making
letter of support
changes?
is for fiscal year '21, so it's reflecting what you provided. So next
Got
year's would be different. And that was also on my list of where are we at with that arrangement, or are we moving ahead with that, or?
Well, the big issue honestly is we don't know what to do with Scott and the Buildings and Grounds Department. We don't have any place for them to go. So I don't know, right now, I'm feeling like we can't do anything until we find them an office or a place to settle.
Well, I'm
And I don't know when
flexible,
that's gonna
so-
happen.
Okay, I just was curious about that.
Do I move then that we approve the ISWCC match fund for 2021?
I'll second that.
Moved and seconded. We all good, Doug? You have that one too?
Yep.
Awesome. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. Anything else?
Just information that we just did our final documents and will soon be funded for the next 319 grant. And that also includes $35,000 for the West Mountain Road project for the road department again.
Nice.
So that, and then we have the other one will be funded, that has just been funded, is for the south end fencing project, another $54,000 for that, for BOR.
Karina, you know, correct me if I'm wrong here, but it seemed to me like we used to get the 319s, they were around 470,000. Those grants aren't available anymore?
No, and they're looking at not even doing a collection of projects on a grant. They want single projects. So on this grant, we have 5 projects. We have the Alzar School, the Depot project, which is that culvert that comes out from under the airport that's washing away about 2 feet a year from the landowner. And just heard from the engineer today that we were talking about doing a concrete blanket around there. NRCS also looked at the project and wasn't able to do anything on it, but the engineer is thinking that we need to just pipe through, straight through, and then eliminate that outlet area altogether, which would, I thought it was a brilliant idea when he said it. So,
How big is the culvert?
4 foot.
Ooh. Those are, I think, about 20 grand now for a 20-footer. I don't know for sure, but they're expensive culverts.
Well, it seems like it's not just the landowner's responsibilities, so we may, it's coming from the airport and that whole watershed that's to the east of that.
Where's this culvert? Is it north of the airport?
It is right about in the middle of the airport. Do you know where the depot is, Youth with a Mission? If you just drive there and you don't even have to, you can see it right from, if you just get out of your
Okay,
car, you
okay.
can look at it. It's really worth looking at because it's a huge problem for the
So it drains
landowner.
everything on the west side of the highway?
Right.
Or the east side of the highway, I should say.
And so the city and the landowner went round and round about it, but we were able to get it on a 319. But I'm hoping that the city will contribute some equipment maybe to excavate for that culvert. Pipe, what did you call it?
And they have a ton of topsoil to bury it all with.
Right, Yeah.
That should be easy peasy.
But I'd appreciate it if you had your eyes on, if you just
Yeah.
stopped and looked at what's going on there.
I will.
So,
Maybe on the way home today. Depends on what time we get done, how tired I am. But if I remember right, that was why the Davises put the culvert in on the north side of the airport between there and the bridge, because they could pick up some of that water and route it on down to that culvert. But I don't know for sure.
yeah, well, I'd really appreciate if you'd look at it, and if you have any questions, the engineer could contact you, or
Yeah.
it'd be good to have some other eyes on it,
It's probably a 4-foot culvert. It runs a lot of water
right?
in the wintertime. Probably a big chunk of water.
Yeah,
Okay, is there anything else?
I think that's it.
All right, and we'll keep you posted on as far as moving.
Okay,
I'm guessing it's gonna be a while, months,
okay.
because we got, like I say, we gotta make a home for buildings and grounds.
Yeah, it doesn't impact me at all. I'll be back full-time in the office in the fall
Okay,
when school starts, so.
all right,
Okay.
thank you. Have a great day.
Do you mind doing me a huge favor? Just taking these down to our office and
Yep, yep.
scan it in,
We're gonna do a,
just for record retention.
Get up and stretch, walk around.
yeah, we're gonna do a budget workshop in about 2:30, about 7 minutes. And we'll take a little break. Gabby's not looking too good today. Are you peeking? I can just see the corona spraying around. I'm just kidding. Yeah, right there. And there's some tape too if you need it. Doug, have you heard anything through the clerks or any of the grapevine about Jim plan going next year 11% increase?
Nothing. This is brand news.
I'm trying to figure out where I heard that from. It was another commissioner, and I'm going, oh my gosh. That's going to take
Across the board?
Yeah.
I can't imagine, yeah, no, this is the first that,
I'm going to give Tim a call and find out.
no. But,
To me, so that way I can pull them up on here.
spreadsheet, or do you want me to send out? The expense one?
Well, whatever, anything we're going over today.
See all the above.
Yeah, I mean, all I want to say.
We really missed it last week. It was like we were lost.
I don't buy that for a second. Roll the spreadsheet, that's it. Got water? Doug, do you need
All
water?
good.
No, I actually do, but I will come down and get it. You don't have to,
Let me wait on you for
no,
once.
that's not very, okay. Yeah, give me a half a second.
Doug, I saw a couple of emails flying around. Did we get everybody billed for that?
No.
Okay.
So, let me focus on this first.
No
Hang
worries,
on
no
one
worries. I didn't
second,
mean to take
sorry.
much
No,
more
no, no.
I just thought of it. I was looking at some notes that I had written down.
I have, we need to bill Cascade $500. We did bill the city of McCall, and then I don't know of anyone else that we need to bill.
Tamarack is the only other one that committed funding for
Okay.
that.
Do you have a contact for who we should bill at Tamarack?
It was Scott Turlington. I can reach
Okay.
out to him. I kind of honestly, what I was thinking, Doug, is that we keep that until next year
Okay,
because they don't have it in their budget process like we do.
okay.
So, I mean, if that would work.
Yeah, that's,
For you.
yeah,
Hey, where do we have that budget to come to think of?
out of 0118, but we can talk about it today.
Let's see, did that budget workshop, oh, it came today, didn't it? No.
No, so we did not provide you with an updated budget expense worksheet because I feel I just want to make sure that we're tracking the changes and then that we're presenting the commissioners with those changes that unfortunately they're coming quick, right? And Gabby was out last week and I believe that we've made all the additional requests. So I just want to make sure that we're all capturing it correctly. And then like today with the discussion with Mackenzie and potentially increasing her budget and then printing costs, I just want to make sure that we are in fact capturing all these requests. The other thing that I'd like to work on today is making a determination of those capital improvements. What do the commissioners want funded out of the regular budget? And then what do they want funded out of PILT? I apologize. I thought I had pretty extensive notes regarding that last Monday, but I did not. So that did not get done. So those are some of the things that I'd like to work on today. Also, I'd like to get some, I know it's a little unique, but to have some conversations regarding the positions. We just kind of need to know where we're at with that. We have nothing budgeted for potentially a recreation position or a part-time recreation position. So these are just some things that we need to continue to discuss in preparation for the public hearing.
But Doug, you want to go to Mackenzie's budget first?
Yeah, I think, if you give me just
We're
half
pretty
a
solid on
second.
that. Yeah, we'll take whatever time you
Send
need.
out these that the strategic planning committee looked at all of the requests and
She sent them to me and I thought I sent them to all the ones that
just
we,
get these. Did you get these?
is that the advocating for them?
Yes.
I sent those out on, I think just last week.
Doug.
So they actually scored all the positions to see how they came into alignment with STAR, the strategic
Can I look at
plan.
those?
Absolutely. So everything was rated based on service, transparency, accountable, responsive. And Pat had requested from each one of the directors or elected official that was requesting positions to do a full breakdown on how that met the STAR goal, so that we are aligning everything to our strategic plan.
Saw one from Cinda and from Brian. I saw those two. I didn't see these.
And then the rating on them was what the strategic planning committee rated. We just did low, medium, and high.
Take a look when you
You
get.
know what? Do you want me to go and take copies of them so you guys can actually,
No, I got them here.
Dave doesn't have
This
them
one
either.
hasn't been filled out apparently.
Yeah, she answered everything, and then this is how they
Oh,
rated
okay.
it.
So, okay,
You want me to go
planning,
take-
zoning, well, maybe you better make copies anyway.
Copies of them, and then we can look at them.
So, Gabby, we thought we'd go to Mackenzie's budget first, because we know we're in agreement on that one, which is public relations. And we're looking at, she's got a $23,000 contract. And I feel like we need to probably bump that a little bit more, because it sounds like she's gonna be doing more work. But I don't know a number. I'm
Oh,
thinking,
it's 0101.
no, I mean, as far as what we should go
Oh,
to.
Sorry.
23,000, I was thinking maybe another 30,000.
Do you have it on yours, Gabby? On the laptop? Your expense worksheet or? Yeah. You want me to flip it?
But I just got 4 things from Shredder. Did you get that all done?
Yeah, well, we should if it's notification. Casey was gonna do it.
This must be signed by a county commissioner. I won't delete these until we find out. Anyway, where are we?
She is. It's out of 0101.
Under commissioners, isn't it?
No.
Oh, there it is, public relations. Sherry, while you were gone, we went to Mackenzie's budget, and she's getting, we got her contract for 23,000. I was thinking about taking that to 30, and I need consent from you guys. And then we also need Gabby to create a line item, and I don't know if we want to do it in this budget or under commissioners for publication costs, Star News, ads, Facebook costs. And if she does 2 ads a week, it's gonna be about 10,000 a year. I don't know where you wanna put that one.
I would propose, go ahead, Commissioner Muffin, sorry.
Oh, go ahead.
I would propose that that would be in the commissioner's budget, because it's the commissioners directing Mackenzie to do these. So we would potentially just increase or take a look at what the current budget, what we currently budget for expenses for printing.
And there you go.
For commissioners, and I
So
can just, we need to kind of see where we're at.
We can raise that from 5,000 to 10 to 15,000.
Marketing one, but
For public relations.
What else do we print?
Any type of,
Meeting materials like the boards.
Yeah,
those
meeting
things,
materials, sorry.
maps That we've used for some of the public hearings.
So where does our Star News ads come out of? This one?
yes,
Okay, then I would, my thing is just leave it here and bump it to 15,000.
oh, on her contract, that was my question to her. I said, do you think the 23 is gonna cover it?
And it didn't sound like it was.
I didn't take that away. I thought she said that her reallocation of time, that she thought that would be plenty, but,
So you wanna leave that at 23?
and I
Maybe I heard it wrong.
opened anything. Doug, or Dave, what did you hear, Mackenzie?
I think what she was saying is that she was comfortable right now. I don't know if there was some hesitation to ask for more money, but I think that we need to budget a little bit more in that contract.
Let's do it. I totally agree. I think that that's really important this next year. Communication needs.
If I remember right, she was gonna try and go back and kind of think about it and send us some update on it. So if she comes back and says, I need another 2,000, then we can adjust it next budget workshop.
From the 23 or my update?
Let's go ahead and put it at 30. We can bring it down.
We don't have to spend it all. Okay, that takes care of that. What was the other one, Doug? The positions?
Yeah, if you guys want to, let's just make sure that we're all clear on the positions that are included. Apparently there was some additional discussion at the strategic meeting that Commissioner Mopin can present on, that she's provided you with some handouts.
So
I'm trying to find Pat's. We had more than that, though. We had other positions, and some of them we already cut or decided not to do.
I think there's only one. That's what I'm trying to pull up right now too. It would have been
Here it
under the
is.
last budget worksheet we got. It had all the positions on it.
Here we have the deputy prosecuting attorney, the legal assistant, 4-H program, assistant planner, appraiser 1, patrol sergeant, and waterways. Those are just upgrades. Recreation director, road department administrator. And we, for sure, we know we need the prosecuting attorney. The legal assistant was only going to be $2,800 a year.
No, that's
That's not right.
that's not right.
But
Oh, it's an
Doug, can you-
upgrade to current.
Right, because we're just.
Right, I just saw that. So we're not hiring any new position there, we're just upgrading the person that's there.
Wasn't a big upgrade.
Right, that helps. And I think we talked about the 4-H program assistant and felt like we didn't need to do that one.
I think we can continue to work with them on getting interns in the summertime. When that, when Allison is so busy. She has an intern this year and that's great. That ends up costing the county much less.
My concern about this position is what are they gonna do the rest of the year after the fair's over?
Well, they would do the after-school program. She has a lot to do with that after-school program. A lot of the STEM programming. I mean, they got an $80,000 grant for STEM this year to go out and teach STEM.
Can you remind me what STEM stands for? Science?
Science,
Technology.
technology, something or other in math.
Engineering.
Engineering, that's it. And it should be STEAM because art should be in there too, but yeah. So they got a STEM grant. I mean, there's a lot of things coming out of that department. I think we make sure that we provide funding for the AmeriCorps position every year and then, look for summer interns. But the biggest thing there is we really need to look long-term at how we want to fund that program.
Is it more for staff though, Sherry, or more for facilities
For,
for that program? When you say how to fund that program, is that more for the whole fair in general or just the help?
nothing to do with the fair, just the extension department as a whole.
Oh,
They can all be, there's two ways that we can fund that program, and Pat has real heartburn with the way we're
Yeah.
funding it now. So we need to break that down this year and spend some time on that and see what we really want to do. And that's my only hesitation in funding another position is until we know for certain how we want to do it, we probably shouldn't be hiring another person within that department. I want Allison to know that it's not like we're saying no, but let's try and find her another year of help until we can figure out exactly whether they're going to become
County.
university
university.
employees or if they're going to remain in county programming.
okay, so then let's go down to the next one. I think we're all in agreement on the 4-H. The assistant is a no, yes. The assistant planner is more, to me, a code enforcement.
So Cinda's saying
Where
that's
is
about
that?
20% of what this person will be doing. So what the position is that they will be taking on some of Lori's responsibilities so that Lori can start training a little bit more with Cinda and taking on some of Cinda's responsibilities. So the team voted this one as a high priority. It definitely will take care of a lot of the complaints that we're currently getting. But she's, in this, she said that they're going to be inspecting the placement permits to measure the setbacks.
Dumb question, but Doug, do they have a car?
No.
So this person is gonna need a set of wheels, I'm guessing.
Or is there a motor pool vehicle available? Should be, there,
That just depends on the day of the week. I think this position is probably needed, but I think there's gonna be a lot more cost than what they're saying it is. You can't be a code enforcement if you don't have wheels. This person's gonna be out and about traveling and driving a lot.
that will be doing that instead of Lori. So I know Lori right now uses the vehicle quite a bit to go out and post signs and that kind of stuff. And this person will be doing that as they're out
You
driving
know
around.
which vehicle they use?
Got one of the motor pool ones that she uses, so I'm not certain which one it is, but
Have we ever paid Lori for any mileage?
Nope.
Not that I've seen.
I think she
But I
uses.
do know
the
we
vehicle.
paid P&Z gas, so they must have something they're using.
Well, P&Z, that's just for their trips to the meetings here.
Oh, that's
That's
right.
the commissioners. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I know Lori, she is using the vehicle. She does all the signage posting and all of that kind of stuff, so she's out driving around quite a bit.
Would you guys mind if I went and asked Cindy to come in and explain how that physically this position is? Well, thanks, Gabby.
And then she said there's room in her back office in order to put somebody back there, that there used to be a third person back there.
This person was
And the
54,366 total salary.
committee stated that the code compliance part of it is really important to them because right now we do have a prosecuting attorney's office that's willing to actually take this forward and prosecute. And that makes, it makes a big difference for these ladies.
Cindy, I just had a question for you on your new position. Do you guys have your own wheels?
No,
So this person is going to need an automobile
Yes.
too, correct?
that was put in, yes. I thought.
No.
So Lori's using a motor pool right now when she does her stuff,
Once a month,
just once a month.
Is that one day a month she's gone?
yes. Typically one day.
So we're going to have to figure out a set of wheels for this person as well. If they're going to be out looking for violation and enforcing, conditions of approval, they're going to need wheels.
Yeah, Annette said that, suggested that perhaps we just share with them. They've got the two vehicles.
What I was wondering is if there was room to share between that and any of the other motor.
Because, Annette doesn't go out very often, but she has a vehicle and, we could work that
And then
out because there will
Tony-
be a significant amount of office work also.
And then Tony has another vehicle.
Yes.
That was my one concern when I was thinking about this one night is this person's going to need wheels.
Because I think we put gas in there.
I don't know where it is. Do you anticipate this person, you said doing desk work? What kind of work is that?
Well, they're going to have to track all the violations. They'll have to cover the office. There'll be a lot of other things involved besides just code compliance. Hopefully, they're going to be able to assist with some of the noticing, that type of thing.
And then will this be the direct contact person with Oak for the violations, or are they going to run it through you and then?
Well, we'll have to work that out, how all of that is going to function. I'll be the connection with Oak.
And then do we need another phone and desk and all that stuff too?
We used to have a phone back there. We used to have another person.
I know you did at one time.
We'll need another desk. There was a phone connection back there at one time. Yeah, once we get going on the code compliance, I hope a lot of stuff doesn't go to the prosecuting attorney. The goal is to prevent that.
Right. I think a lot of warning letters are going to be going out on this. This person is probably
Well, yeah,
going to be
there's
writing.
warning, there's settlement conferences, before you actually get to your formal procedures. There's appeals. There's a variety of different paths that can happen. This person will be out in the field, I'd say at least 50% of their time.
Well, what I like about this position, Cindy, is that when there's conditions of approval, we're going to have somebody follow up, and make
Yes.
sure that the lighting's right, or your flags are wrong, or you didn't get the mound, or whatever the landscaping, and that's what we're missing.
Yeah, for conditional use permits.
Yeah.
I've talked to Annette, I anticipate this person might do, sporadic reviews of those placement permits. Making sure people are putting the outbuildings where they're supposed to be. Lighting is both of us, so the lighting on buildings should be done by the building department. But we can follow up with the complaints of the older stuff that maybe wasn't brought into compliance. But then they're going to have to document all of this, and so it's all consistent. I've had a lot of different thoughts about how to get it done.
Okay.
A lot of it's the RVC and short-term rentals, and making sure everybody's complying with that. There'll be some, looking on websites.
That's where I can see the most need for this person is the RVC campsite or campgrounds and short-term rentals and making sure people are being compliant and then
And
not
lights.
looking on websites, but just driving around too and seeing those short-term rentals and how they're being utilized.
Well, there will be, but it will be in a very consistent, logical manner. It's not going to just be random driving around. We're going to hit neighborhoods, kind of like the assessor does. It will be very strategic.
Annette, I'm glad you came in. One of the issues with hiring an extra person is they're going to need wheels. Are you willing to share one of your rigs?
Yeah, we'll share.
You can make that all work. I just want to make sure.
Make it work in the summer, we might have.
So-
You don't go out that often when, Tony's,
Right, it depends on the summer.
Well, if push comes to shove, we can always pay their mileage in their own personal vehicle.
work it out.
Yeah. Okay,
So,
that's
Doug,
what,
can we make sure on Cinda's budget that we have enough in there for gas, that we've included some increases on those lines?
I thought we had done the gas and the cell phone for that position.
Gabby, can you bring up E and Z?
That's
So
what-
fuel, we increased to 2,000. And then the telephone, we increased to 900.
I have no idea what they did last year. You feel like that's a large enough increase? to cover
Last
another
year, they
position?
expended $120, excuse me, for fuel, $200, $192 for this year, $186. So I think we are accurately accounting for this position to be out more.
We'll have to give it a year and see how much mileage that is. Once it's under control, there won't be as much travel in the field.
Well, I just want both of you, if there gets to an issue with the sharing vehicles, let us know, okay? Don't get upset and just come and we'll figure it out.
And this is a part-time position, correct?
No, full-time.
Okay, that's all I need, Cinda.
Okay.
Thanks.
Did you,
Nick?
did you want clarification on that, or?
No, I was looking at the number of hours, but now I see that it says hourly, but what that is what they're paid hourly.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, the next position is appraiser 1. This is for June's office. You have 5 now. What did you used to have back in the height of Tamarack? 7? I know you get asked this question every year, and I want everybody to understand it, that a lot of times you send appraisers out together is for safety, but is there a way you can split those people up and get more done with the same folks?
So we generally do have out alone. But when other, I discovered I would just basis. Self, I can go out by myself, by herself. Others,
And then if you go back to like Yellow Pine, you always send 2 people back there.
absolutely.
Yeah.
absolutely.
Honestly, June, this is one position I'm kind of wrestling with. I'm not sure because you're able to keep up now and get everything done. I know.
Keeping up, there's a lot of things that aren't getting done. Yes, right. There's a lot of things that not do. It's what works best.
What do you mean
So
that
this
you're
was-
not doing like what?
Cross-training, we really
Mm.
want to, so that using our chief deputy for a while, kind of cross-train that position, that he, that be, right, every, we get something. Not happen.
And I know Sue Probst has been coming in and kind of getting you through those thin times.
She has.
And it's been great to have her.
Oh, it's been a blessing. Absolutely.
So June, this was the questions that came out of the strategic planning committee because they rated this position as medium and they wanted more questions answered. So what their questions were is, does it make more sense to put the money into that software program or into some kind of a software program? Jeremy was explaining that, we're really going to have to look at software programs because if you take it away from what the state's using, a lot more of that responsibility comes onto the county. versus just doing another module to the state system. He felt like that would increase your guys' productivity some, the efficiency on it, so you don't have to recalculate everything or re-add everything when you come back. He said, does it make more sense to put the money into the software versus, the position? And that was just the feedback from that strategic committee, is they feel like technology again will change this. And they felt like the 2 years was kind of a strong time frame for somebody to learn. Jeremy said that, the software is not that difficult to learn. So if we put this money towards software versus an actual body, he felt like that might be something too, but.
It'll work better for the county. We're fine. I think it's cross training going, so that not only do what we have to do, but cover our bases, other things. There's like I said, a lot of other things they're prioritizing. Yes, we are getting by. We'll do more, but it's what works best. So, software, I think that's great. Really hope that there will be some one that they were looking at. Now we did meet with them, but we haven't been able to get together and find out where we're at.
The ProVal has some kind of a module, which actually is just, it's implementing in the field and feeding into ProVal. So it'd still be ProVal at the end of the day. It just gives you a better way to access the software that's in your office.
Well, and if Jeremy can set it up, that'd be awesome.
Okay.
I mean, IT would, absolutely.
I'm really glad to hear that, because I think that's kind of the wave of the future, is everything is done on a machine, pictures, all that, boom, you send it in. You don't have to come back in here and type it all in and get it into the system.
Well, we're all for it, totally for it, but we're under the impression that you're learning from probably other programs at cloud that we were looking at a year ago.
And the concern there is if we move away from ProVal, then a lot of the internal calculations that ProVal actually does and the state actually supports all of those calculations becomes our responsibility. There's a much greater opportunity for error in the data cloud program than there is ProVal, because ProVal is so well supported by the state. So until the state moves away from it, there's a lot less liability on our end if we continue with ProVal.
Oh, we know the program.
Yeah, and there is,
Huge.
That's the big part. Yeah.
and that other module is just, it will support the appraisers and giving them more tools in the field and coming into ProVal.
It's whatever IT the commissioners want.
Absolutely.
Well, there's another part of this that we haven't talked about, and that's all the scanning. So that keeps,
We'll have to have a body. No
and
way it's gonna get
that would be my positive side of hiring this person, is if they're scanning half the time or a third of the time or something. We really need to get those.
Well, I don't disagree with that, but like I told you, prioritizing. Our priority is getting values, money running. Gotta go out and do that into
Mhm.
property values.
Okay, something to think about. We're just gonna move on down the list. Patrol sergeant and waterways, these are all upgrades. But it's still,
Road department.
no, it was, well, on my list, he's at the bottom. And then the next one is, the recreation director.
So,
And,
can I back up just?
Sure.
We talked about the sheriff's one. We have a request, sheriff's office to move their admin person. That was added to
oh,
the spreadsheet, but I don't think it's.
okay,
Currently about 16,000 to pay for time is the 11,000 pages and then got for 30.
So that's almost another 18,000.
34 total. That's not
So have you done the request for the new position and answered all of the questions, Sheriff? No? So what we're trying to do is document how each one of these positions actually meet our strategic plan moving forward. And that's, the committee has gone through and rated the ones that have already been put on the request. So I would want to know how this new position would do that too.
Sheriff, is there a lot of civil work now?
It's picking up. It's a good spot. They're also doing. So you could just keep it. Full time.
Did you make it for one more year and put this into next year's budget? So it's a position that's vacant right now?
Yes.
So the last position was part-time? And how much does that person make? What is the hourly wage for the civil
I don't
clerk?
know what the hourly wage is.
If you're having a hard time,
15, 17. Gabby, I know this is going backwards, but when you bump up the waterways deputy, that's still paid by waterways funds, correct?
Correct. No. But I think he's refunded back from waterways.
It's reimbursed.
He's paid out of the sheriff's budget, but. Last year we did 35,000, or for this, for 2020, I budgeted for 35,000.
Well, will that number go up if we take him to full-time?
I think we'd do the same percent.
So the cost isn't gonna be that much more, but the patrol sergeant would come out of tax dollars, okay. Just getting that straight in my mind.
That's probably half.
Now, what was the final salary for the civil clerk? Cause you got 17 there and that,
That's the increase would be
17,000, and so,
increased on top of this.
okay. Okay,
Do those other positions go through that checklist or the request questionnaire?
they did, yes. It was requested. I don't know if did Jeff get his back?
yeah, there was one in here on road department.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, sorry, no, I was just asking for the sheriff's 3
Oh,
positions.
so
I didn't see
no,
anything for those.
I didn't see anything on
Well,
that.
it's a latecomer to the plan here. That doesn't necessarily mean we turn it down because they haven't done a questionnaire. If it's something that the sheriff needs or feels like she needs, I think we have to honor it.
I think we have to look at it. I
Yeah.
would like to see it go through HR for the request.
So then let's go to recreation director next, because that's gonna be probably the biggest hangup. And my first question on that one is, where did we come up with that salary for that position? That was from Pat. That's salary is more than, I believe, what the elected officials are making. Is that correct? 84,685?
Oh, I guess you, 38, you mean?
The one I got was a few weeks back. But the starting salary is 62,774, and then you load the wage, it comes up to almost 85,000. My concern is, where did she come up with that dollar figure? To me, that seems kind of high.
I know that,
Because that's as much almost as what a deputy prosecutor makes.
Well,
oh, no,
no.
not base salary.
Yeah,
Prosecutors.
it's in
well,
2,000.
Did it through the Idaho Association of Counties bill that came through, but
Imagine that was a little harder to compare.
Yeah, I don't think a lot of counties have
You know,
recreation directors.
She sent us an email talking about that. Just trying to find it.
And then the other question on that position is, what are we going to do with the old recreation director?
he absolutely is gonna be right there.
Is he going to stay as a recreation director? Are we classifying that job? Or are we going to have two recreation directors?
So there was a job description that was sent out
Mm-hmm.
a few months ago. And we need to break down those job descriptions based upon what they would be doing. And I think there's one that was, I'm trying to think, let me look really quick.
I'd send out like an organizational chart, and I believe that the director and then like a coordinator position was what was underneath that,
The coordinator?
and then the assistant was below that.
Dave, can you forward that back to me? I can't see. Oh, wait a minute. Here we go. Position justification. No, it doesn't come with the PDF. If you have that, can you send that to me so I can look at that, please? I'm not finding it.
Back in April, there was a director, a coordinator, and then a recreation assistant director. So we're not trying to change that department, we're trying to add to that department. And the strategic planning committee actually spent some time on this because one of the biggest things in the strategic plan is the expansion of the recreation department. So we talked specifically about, do we need to add to that department or not? And they rated this as a high priority.
In the strategic planning committee, did you guys talk about things like we're gonna need more building inspectors or more deputies? Or I know right now we have the ability to put on another station at DMV in McCall. Did you guys talk about any of those positions?
We didn't talk about anything that hadn't been requested for, no. We talked about everything that had been requested for.
To me, that is what a strategic plan is, where we're getting the most scream from the public of poor service. And those are the things I think are the issues that we need to talk about, like the DMV. And I know deputies, that's kind of based on population and all that kind of stuff. I think we need to give more value to that than what's being given now. With the recreation department, we're just about to the point where we can actually start charging fees to maintain some of these assets that the county's gonna lease or owns. And I would really like to wait another year before we hire a third person, which is gonna put that department way over 250,000 for recreation until we have figures coming in from what kind of income we're gonna make off some of our assets. I think that's only being fair to the taxpayers. So my feeling is I think we need to leave the recreation department alone where it is and go from there.
We also were talking about the assistant being a full-time position. I mean, there's two parts to that discussion.
Or you're thinking the 68,000 is part of the assistant too?
I'm sorry, what? No, we had two different positions that we were talking about for recreation. I don't know if we made a decision on the assistant last week or not, but that was essentially having Danny's position bumped up to a full-time position.
I thought we did that. You guys know? Can you tell?
No, it was not done.
We didn't, yeah, we didn't, I didn't
We
know we
didn't-
made a decision on it.
He requested for Danny to go full-time starting in October 1. Right?
Yes, you did. Well, I hear what you're saying. I will disagree with you. And yet I'll be open to the conversation. So right now, our largest growth in Valley County, and what people are screaming about, is recreation. That people are coming here and we're overwhelmed. We're being loved to death. And people are asking, what is the plan? And currently, with our current structure, there is no way that Larry and Danny can ever handle everything that's coming at them right now. Larry provided me with his policies and procedures. That is an asset list that doesn't have one thing to do with policies and procedures. So he has not been able to accomplish the one task that he was given for the last year. And I agree with you on the user fees. It is time that we do that. We should have been doing it 5 years ago. It's definitely time to do it now. We don't know what that means. I mean, that could easily offset what the cost of this position would be. Right now is a moment in time. I mean, there needs to be somebody working on the IDL stuff. There needs to be somebody working with DFW all the time, or DF development. There's so much going on in the county right now. And we are way behind the 8 ball. This should have happened 5 years ago. And we just keep punting it. We just keep kicking it down the road. And I have a heartburn with that. I have a hard time just continuing to punt one of our largest concerns and opportunities in the county. The Strategic Planning Committee looked at it, which is not me. That's a group of people from throughout the county, and made this a high priority. That they felt it was time to move forward with recreation, and that is the one way that we can plan for our future. And that is what my emails are, is what is your guys' plan? You know, people are asking for plans. So I feel like we're behind the 8 ball already. And right now, the third position at DMV, we've had conversations, we don't even know where DMV is going to be located. I mean, that's not this year that we're going to put a third station at DMV for certain. So that is something that, we need to look at, but that's a whole different conversation because that's an entirely different placement.
Well, and honestly, I think we need another DMV person before we need another appraiser. Really.
And I might concur with that, I think I would agree with that. And as
And
far
I
as the
think-
sheriff's office, I 100% agree that once they get to the point where they need new deputies for the health and safety of our citizens, I am 100% backing our police force. But they also have a huge input on the recreation side of things. We need a patrol deputy out there enforcing our recreation ordinances. Because right now, nobody's buying their tags, nobody's enforcing that, So that is a huge part of this whole deal. We need to have a collaboration and a coordination between recreation and our police department and putting ordinances in place, enforcing those ordinances that are out there. I'd like your feedback on that.
My feedback?
Yeah.
Well, I think, we just approved an extension of PTO for Dave this morning, which tells me that the guy's overworked and that we don't have enough folks in that office. So I think that same thing happens in the road department, that those guys are working 12, 14-hour shifts and they don't have enough help. To me, that says that's a strategic plan that we need to fix that solution. We get a lot of calls from folks upset at DMV because it takes me a half an hour or whatever to get my license. We need to fix that. That's strategic planning. I don't know what another recreation director is going to actually do that Larry's not already doing. Yeah, absolutely.
Mr. Mopper, you said that we need somebody working with DF. I just spent an hour with DF just before I came back here because of some security issues that we're having. And I call IDL at least 2 times a week, getting everything I can out of them. I agree. I'm not sure until we get these parks in place how I can keep another guy full-time busy. We probably can, but what does it accomplish? Does it accomplish, if we have a person, does that get things done? Or does money that we can use for a match to purchase property and to purchase stuff, does that get things done? And that's my only concern is we spend more money on people, but it's not going to add anything. So anyway, just my comment. And I do work with DF constantly. It's quite a balancing act right now.
I would bet it is.
Well, they're getting ready to close the 2 campgrounds down on that the properties on the river down there, and I'm trying to talk them into keeping it as a day use, but I think it's going to get closed.
On the river down where?
Across Low Smith Ferry. They own 2 pieces of property that people are camping on, and 2 of the campers are people that homesteaded in Gem County last year. And I went down there 3 weeks ago, and it smelled of human waste so bad that I asked them if I could put a toilet in down there, and then it's kind of blown up after that.
Yeah, it's a homestead issue.
Yes, yeah. In fact, I think they're going to give you guys a call today about it.
Well, the other issue really, honestly, and it's in my heart deep, is the fact that, you know, some of these positions I think we need, and some of them I think it would be nice to have.
Be nice, yes.
But we're setting ourselves up to already, by taking the foregone, jumping our budget 12-15% right away. That's going to reflect in everybody's taxes, whether we hire these people or not. So now the locals
Would you
or
say that
workers
that's true,
are
Doug?
people.
The levy rate, based on what we're seeing, is actually going to be less than what it was last year, if the commissioners do in fact take the foregone. That's another conversation.
Okay, I hope it works out that way. My concern being is that the locals, the people that are doing the work, you know, the cooks and all that stuff, aren't going to be able to afford their taxes, and we're going to be just like Blaine County in 5 more years. Nobody can afford to live here. Me included. That's what I'm concerned about. Now, maybe I'm old-fashioned, everybody says I am, but I just don't feel like growing government at 10 or 15% budget every year, which is what we're doing, is the correct way to do it. And I realize that this year it's a different issue because we don't take foregone, we might lose it. We might, it's not for sure. And I think we should take it because we probably will, the way those guys were in the legislature last year and some of the discussion I had. But I'm concerned about 2023 and 2024 when we're back to 3% of that budget. It's not going to be enough to even cover the salary increases. And that's where I don't want to get us into trouble. I know I talked to Doug about if to take foregone, I would like to raise general fund reserve to 500,000, just so we have some money stuffed away for the following year to handle this, which will show in cash carry forward and is kind of an emergency fund to handle that next year's budget. But I'm only one vote. If you guys want to another recreation director, then we can do it by vote.
I think it's important. It's important to me, the 3 of us work very well together. It's important to me that we all 3 come up with some solutions for the county long term. So I don't want to be adversarial about new positions because I think we need to have a shared vision. But I will make one statement. This is a shared vision that is coming from within your staff at the county. This is not coming from us. This is a process that was put into place a year and a half ago for this strategic plan. And people on that strategic planning committee are looking holistically at the future of our county and how to move things forward. And so, you know, I'm willing to wait a year, but I think that this is a conversation that is really critical for our community to have. And maybe that's part of the conversation with the public and doing a survey of the county, you know? What are your priorities? What would you like us to focus on most? Because I can tell you right now that when I'm out in the forest and I'm getting information back, people are frustrated this year with how many people we have up here, and there is a lack of planning for the future. I like what Larry started. I think that that is something that needs to be improved upon. I think that we need collaboratives on recreation, because recreation is our largest opportunity up here. It's also our largest risk. And so, and I just don't feel like Larry and Danny can handle this on their own. I think this position, I think the department needs expanded. I want Larry to be on board as much as anybody else. I want you to stay here. I don't have any idea how you handle what you handle and still create and expand upon your department. And so that's, you know, I think it's important that we have full conversations as we move forward this year. And Larry, I'm going to hold you accountable to the things I asked for. What you gave me is an asset list of what the recreation department has. It is in no way, shape, or form your policies and procedures.
There is summer, fall, and winter procedures on that too. If you went through the whole
You and I need to
thing.
talk about what procedures look like.
Okay, and the other thing is, I agree, we're going to grow into that. There's no two ways around it. And if we're going to spend the money this year, maybe not hire the guy, but put the money to where if we don't hire somebody, we can use it as a match on a grant. Because remember, we can also hire people through the grant process too to keep the cost down. But I'm just concerned about us. I agree, we're going to grow. But if we don't have the funds to purchase anything or to build anything, I hate to see it come out of the general budget. It just really would bother me, so. But
And I
that's
agree
you
with you, and
guys'
that's why we hired a grant writer 2 years ago
Oh,
to help
yeah.
you out. And, you know, so we're getting there.
Yeah, oh yeah,
And
we're writing grants.
When you say we're going to grow the program, we've already grown the program. We're way behind the 8 ball on managing what we have.
Anyway, that's just a comment.
I agree. I mean, I think there's a lot on Larry's plate. I don't know how he handles what he does handle right now, but I also think there's a lot of room that we could be looking forward, and we could also be addressing a lot of things that just aren't getting addressed right now. I mean,
So I'm in agreement. We can wait a year.
I really do want to see the assistant position be a full-time position.
I would very much like to see the,
Yeah, I do too. I think Danny needs to go full-time.
but I also feel like we
Right.
need to use the input of our employees and how they want to see the county grow too.
To a certain extent, Sherry, but when it's you and I and Dave that are getting the phone calls about people mad about an hour-long wait for DMV or an hour-long wait for a deputy or an hour-long wait for these issues, to me, that is more important than what a group of employees inside this facility thinks or would like to see. I understand what your strategic committee is set up and trying to do, but I that's part of the input to me, but it's not the deciding factor for
And
me.
if I had elected officials asking for those positions, they would be being considered right along next to all of the rest of this. But we don't. So what that means to me then is we're projecting upon them, well, you need somebody new. I mean, that elected official needs to look within their department and figure out how they're functioning. And if they need more, then they need to put it to us that we need these positions and why. And we didn't get that.
Well, we just got one from the sheriff that wants to take their civil deputy full-time. I don't understand.
And it's like way behind the 8 ball. I mean, we've been doing this since May.
Well,
So why right now?
We lost our.
So what's the historical history there? Has it always been part-time, or this last time it was part-time, or, so we've filled it up until now?
One actually
full-time person. Others are just. We noticed it.
So is that something then that you could share a part-time person with June?
We tried that. They're two different, I mean, it's
Even though it's,
totally different requirements. Driver's license and all. You have to know and do. Of her best. In part-time. We get it done, and that's the new part. The elevator. Very stressful.
Well, and I think it's really important to define what we're supposed to do as a county. I think there's a lot of code and a lot of statutes that we have to provide this service and that service, and trash and security and appraisals. And then there's things outside that we would like to do. And sometimes, you know, those conflict. My goal has always been along, let's do what the law says we have to do and make sure those people are well covered and can do the job and not get 200 hours of paid time off because we're working them to death. That's a real big, strong signal to me. But if you guys are willing to wait another year on the recreation director, I think that's great. We can take him off the list. We can take the 4-H off the list. We can run Danny full-time. We can start charging fees. What was the other one?
the road department. Road department is really.
Road department is next, and then the appraiser. We haven't decided really on that one.
I would just throw out there, so a couple things that I wanted to add is we are going through a polling process right now with Trust for Public Lands. They're building a poll that's going to be sent out to all the registered Valley County voters. And I think part of what they're going to be asking in this poll is going to be helping to determine what do the residents of Valley County want to see as the future of recreation and access, among other things. So I think, you know, potentially waiting on that position until we see the results of these polls that are coming back over the next year. I mean, Doug, has your office had any of the interaction with the Trust for Public Lands team that has been working on that?
No, not recently. I have not.
So I know they're shooting for something to come out in the next 6 months. You know, it was going to be a longer process than just flip it a poll and turn it around. But I also know that they have funding commitments for like $30,000 to do this polling.
I was talking to Mackenzie about doing that same type of thing.
Well, it
Should our
would
priorities
probably be
be-
a great opportunity to sink Mackenzie in on this. I mentioned that to the folks that I talk to on a fairly regular basis from TPL. They would be, you know, probably wise to get in touch with Mackenzie and talk to her about some of our stuff as well. But I guess the other thing I'm still kind of struggling with is the patrol sergeants and the waterway sergeants. I don't really understand the organizational chart for the sheriff's department. And I think from my position, if you guys could provide us with that and show us how does that break down for those positions, that would be really helpful.
And if you guys, I mean, this is fine. The civil thing is fine. And what I'm hearing, and maybe I'm incorrect, but it's easier to hire a full-time person than it actually is a need of a full-time person.
Records person stays with her records and her evidence. Specific jobs and then the concentrating and doing more. Do those jobs.
So is that as important as hiring, you know, somebody so where Dave's not working as much overtime. But what I'm hearing up here is, you know, you guys have a lot of overtime because people are working too many hours. So which silo should that position be added to?
From the unique position, whether county has week, we don't dictate our overtime. Our overtime, so, for Commissioner Freeman, the org chart, just a quick rundown, is we have two sides of the week, days on, 4 days off. And the sergeant is, we want a sergeant assigned to both sides of the week is what we call it, so right now the sergeant is called out, I had him out 3 times last weekend. The other side of the week was working, he was off, whereas if I had another sergeant, he would have. Right now. I'll give you an org chart.
That'd be great. Yeah, I'm very visual, so.
No, that's fine. It just gives you an idea of how it's kind of running over there. So, yeah, we do have a corporal on that one side of the week. First about working, but there's rises above the sergeant quickly to off.
But Dave, Sherry has a really good point, is that why aren't you guys asking for another deputy instead of a civil clerk if there's that much PTO? I think it's important that we all understand that.
You know that that means another vehicle. You know.
Yeah. That's why we thought, just, you know, just using what we have and upgrading some of the now.
So do you get any days off during the week? Is that when you take usually your days off?
Yeah, if there's nothing going on, I'll take days off during the week or whatever.
No, I know, PTO, you
Yeah.
know.
His PTO is because he's working something.
You may have to just kick him out of the office for a month.
Now,
Honestly, I just did. What happens out there dictates.
But these positions are, it's not going to put more hours on. I mean, these are an upgrade to their existing positions. They're being promoted from within. So this isn't doing anything for you guys as far as alleviating hours. This is
No,
just
alleviating.
promoting to the next position.
Well, it's gonna alleviate my sergeant's overtime quite a bit. There's only one
Because-
sergeant right now. There's only one sergeant right now.
Thank you for that.
one sergeant for 2 teams, and so they have to call.
I call him out on everything.
Okay, thank
We
you.
had a use of force a couple nights ago and he gets called out for use of force for us.
They
So-
are assigned certain levels of authority. We used to have more sergeants.
That makes sense. I'm just thinking in my mind, everybody's currently working 40 hours a week, and that this is just increasing their, it's just promoting, you know, them to the next level of their position. What I'm hearing from you is that somebody's currently not working 40 hours a week and will be hiring to fill these positions. Is that correct? No.
So, let's say the sergeant is off, big situation comes up, that corporal over the team has to contact the sergeant. Sergeant on each team, then you don't have to do that. Double.
But what additional training do we need to provide these individuals so that they become sergeants?
You guys have been sort of working through a mentorship program as well, right?
Absolutely.
That's what I remember you guys telling us a few weeks ago, is that you already have the folks in place that you've been mentoring towards those two positions.
It'll be an open our folks in place have been, because of their rank or have had it's really just with Sergeant now, he called him the other night and get out and probably on the 4 days that he's supposed to be off, 2 days off. He's probably out 2 of his 3 days.
So again, we go back then to, is this the most appropriate use of funds, or do we need more patrol?
I don't think we need more patrol at this time. I think we can have 10 more deputies underneath. Place and start. Up, down.
So one of the concerns I have, and Annette's in the room, so I'll just ask you, but you removed your part-time position. Is that still something that you're feeling like you can do without? Because now we're adding positions. We asked everybody to remove positions, so I don't want us to approve something that's just now coming to light when you actually withdrew yours. You're still good? Okay.
So Gabby, just so I know in my own little brain, the 20,129, that's the extra cost on top. That is not the salary. Okay.
Oh, and you need one in the patrol and in the waterways.
Yes, the one person we have in waterways right now, or sorry, what he's doing, asking for grants and he's all throughout the state. What's your pressure in your marine? What these are, all sergeant above are all that waterway committees, that budgets and stuff. Of a deputy.
Grants, hopefully he's using Mary.
Writes policy, he does the hiring, he does the interviewing. Recommendation. Sheriff, that position.
And I think it's going to get busier.
Yeah.
Especially if we pass a waterways ordinance
Well,
next
what we
year.
envision is rolling, not waterways, is recreation.
Right.
That we're building. And the future.
So Dave, while we're talking about that, how hard is it for you guys to go up or you to send somebody up, say to Francie Wallace or to Cabarton on a Saturday to make sure people are paying the charge and they're parking right and all the stuff that involves? Is that a difficult ask, or is that?
I think it's a difficult ask if we're taking a deputy off the road because they're chasing. Have somebody that's assigned. That's gonna be their sole job. And already, part-time summer deputies that are on the lake to work part-time winter mobile stuff. Maybe we can do that, but
So
we
it's,
already have those people, they've already been vetted, already know who they are.
Good idea.
That's a
so it's not a lack of personnel, it's just a matter of being able to have enough folks that day to have somebody available to go to Cabarton for the morning or to go to Francie Wallace on a Saturday.
Got 2, if we're lucky, 3 on the road, and one way out to Francie Wallace, it's an officer safety issue.
One guy's by himself, yeah.
So Dave, would that be instead of a waterways sergeant, would that be recreation sergeant?
That's sheriff and how you
that's just looking forward is waterways no more recreation.
So I think honestly then, hearing that, I would like for you guys to think about in next year's budget, or the following year actually, to build that position, a recreation deputy that could go out and enforce, the recreational areas that we have, making sure.
I was just whispering here a few minutes ago as you guys are talking about these fees. And have nobody to enforce them.
Right.
So if we do have someone in place under recreation to do that, ours to do that. I think we put those fees ahead of the cart. At that time. We do, we'd have to break a deputy away and all that.
We have some, in the winter, we have to go out.
Oh, yeah.
Other places. It's not full time.
Up with the sheriff just said, sending our sergeant out there, whatever, corporal right now out there. It's unsafe to go ride snowmobile by yourself. Not ATV. But it's a safety thing too. So if we have someone that's attached to him. Got you two are in charge of snowmobile, whatever time of the year it is, that's their gig. And they put together and
But Dave, we can't send somebody like Larry or Dan out with a deputy to enforce, because they don't have that training or that capability legally to make somebody pay. So I guess that would be my next goal for you guys, is to get us a recreation deputy. Yeah, and I think that would help our situation out a lot up here. But we need to move on, or we're gonna run out of daylight. So we've decided to drop 4-H and the recreation director until next year. What was the other one? We still got to decide on appraiser 1, and we need to talk about the road department administration. And on that one, I was thinking the other night, is there any way that that person could double for the weed department in the summer? I don't really know what this person's gonna do all year, other than inventory. I don't know.
That's a skill set that's very specific to an administrative.
Is that gonna take all week? I mean, I don't
Jeff
know.
says that Mickey right now is so far behind that she needs help. I mean, he used to have 3 people in his department.
Mhm.
And so if there are, it's not only inventorying, I mean, it is all the ordering, it's all of the input to the system itself. And this person's going to help out Scott in buildings and grounds and getting them set up correctly. The sheriff's department, Kevin was in with us at the strategic plan, and he thought that the sheriff's department could use this software. So really, it's reporting to Jeff's department, but this software is going to be used throughout the county.
As I say, so maybe it's like
Inventory.
the description is maybe a little inaccurate, but
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it is. It's more like relieve phone calls from the office manager, inventory control, track inventory and costs associated with all equipment and vehicles, generate reports for public review.
Got a barcode on it. I mean, really, it's almost an inventory control specialist or something like that, where it's countywide and they think it would
could
be
see
the road department, but
yeah.
That's a good
that's
question.
where it'd start. But it's almost like an inventory control, because Scott needs it. We've talked long-term, the sheriff's department needs it. I mean, really, the clerk's office could use it for larger pieces of equipment that's, on there for insurance purposes. And so it's a lot more than just an office support specialist.
Okay,
Name
so,
it inventory control specialist or something like that, or. And
Well,
Jeff
let's-
thinks he needs it full-time, but I told him that may not happen for a while.
and that one starts at 31.5, the total cost is 47.
49.
And there it says 49, so I don't know which number's correct, but. So the only other position we need to finalize is appraiser one. June, are you saying you can live without this person, or you really gotta have them?
Get by. As I said, there's gonna be things that we won't get done, but in his years, everybody knows, we're constantly.
One concern I have for June this year is with Sue out,
Mhm.
you don't know when she's
Mhm,
coming back.
mhm.
And,
And we need some
she's not
cross-training.
gonna be 100% at that moment in time either.
My biggest thing is I'd like to get cross-training going. We're just all too focused on trying to get done what we have to do.
And during the next election, I heard you say that there will be a new elected official. You're not going to, so you're gonna retire. So that's my only other concern for that department is if they're not cross-trained at all. When June leaves, whoever that new person is, you know, has some issues, but is there
That's a
any
good
way that
point.
this could be a part-time
Very
position?
good point. Well, and if it was part-time, then the other half, she could do scanning, or it. They, whatever you say. So then we're down to two positions, the 4-H program and recreation
What are
director.
you saying about the assessor? What
It's
is yours?
mine.
Yeah.
Here it says, hang on a second.
No, I mean, are you a yes or a no?
Yes, I'm a yes on keeping the appraiser. Only two I'm against are the 4-H and the recreation director. The rest of it stays. Does that work for you guys?
I could go either way. I mean, I don't want to short the June's department right now at all, but I hear her saying that it's not a necessity. It's something that we would like to be able to do, which is cross train, and I agree 100% with that. So I guess
And
put it in there and see where we come out. I mean,
I guess I will definitely hold that department accountable. If somebody leaves, we will not be replacing. I mean, that's,
and I think that's one of the other things that we
Technology
talked
upgrades.
about prior to, and I think that's a great way to look at it as well.
I have more heartburn with waiting on the rec department. Honestly, if we're going to do the assessors, I have more heartburn waiting on recreation.
I
I'm
think
really
we're slipping further
struggling.
behind the curve on it. I mean, I think we're, like you said, we're behind the curve.
We're
It's
5 years
exploding.
behind already. Well, and so the sheriff's department, I mean, if you guys want to start a recreation program over there, we really need to have a full recreation program. I'm really struggling with this one. I don't know. I don't want to have this become a controversy where we're doing this. I am
It's always controversial, Sherry, and
100%.
we're all gonna leave at the end of the day friends on this. It's always controversial. You just have
in the
to.
community. I mean, in the community. I think that I'm hearing people say, what are you guys doing? How are we going to make change here? How are we going to do this? And I mean, people are hot about this. So we're going to go through a whole nother summer without doing anything to improve our recreational program. And I just feel like we're kicking that can. We continue to kick the can. Patty, what's yours? So this is the strategic plan. Create a long-term sustainable recreation plan. Increase the recreation department, improve infrastructure. Create a recreation advisory board. Create the recreation division in the sheriff's office. Create sustainable funding sources. Research best practices in other successful recreational communities. That's specific to the recreation department in the strategic plan.
I think a lot of it, our concerns or complaints are just overuse. There's just too many people in the system, and And usually, after a while, people say, well, I'm not going to ski there anymore because it's too crowded. I had to wait 3 hours in a lift line. I'm not going back. And it kind of supposedly is supposed to regulate itself, but.
Well, and that's the improved infrastructure. Improving
Yeah.
infrastructure is new campgrounds, it's new parking lots, it's, that type of thing, which you can then take some of those people that are moving here and disseminate them into different areas. I mean, all of the stuff this year that we have people just, camping everywhere in the forest is a concern to me. And how do we make change? You guys know me since I've started. All I've done is say, let's plan for the future. Let's plan for the future. So this is not new. It's not a new conversation from me. I mean, we have a strategic plan. We have our capital improvement plan now. Recreation plan is so key and critical. And I don't think Larry and Danny can do that. So that's my opinion.
So do you want to keep him or do you want to let him go?
I don't know. I'm really on the fence. Do we have to do this today? I would like
I
to
was gonna
talk
say,
to some
No,
people.
we can talk
I hate
about
to make
it.
more work for you, but I would love to see the numbers with the positions that we've identified that we'd like to have.
Okay.
We have some that we've eliminated, so we know that those are gonna be put on hold for now. So if we could add those in, including the recreation director and
And the appraiser as well.
the appraiser as well, and move forward, look at those, and then we'll have to evaluate when we get the final numbers.
And I would put the civil person in there for the sheriff's.
The silver person was already in there. The only one that we took out, so I didn't have the building tech person in there. That had already told me. I did have the 4-H. Those are the, and the rec.
The rec
The
part,
rec is really where it makes the difference.
did you have the rec part-time person go into full-time? That was, yeah.
And I would put a yes behind the civil clerk at this time.
Huh?
I would put a yes behind the civil clerk at this time. But I would like to make some phone calls. I'd like to talk to my constituents, and I want to talk to some more of the employees, and I want to talk to more people around the county. Before I say yes or no.
Where we go next, Doug?
But I think we'd like to get some clarification of the funding that the commissioners want
Oh.
to utilize for PILT or budget for the capital improvements that were presented to. Get some clarification on that will.
Do we have a list of those?
Yeah, they're trying to pull it up.
So the 707,000 that the road department had, I think comes out of the road carryover. And I think all the other, we had agreed to
fund
come out
PILT.
of, yes, come out of
Okay, so
PILT.
we just need to take all
So
of
it's-
those out of the existing budget then.
Yes.
And if you can,
Yeah, I remember something like that too.
We still have another executive session too at the end of the day.
I know.
That we put on
Poor
hold
Annette.
already once.
Poor Annette. We won't have a lot to discuss there, I'm sure.
There you go.
So you said keep the road stuff in the budget
in their budget.
And, yeah.
and then everything else.
The only one that I'd like to discuss with the commissioners is the jail cam upgrade. We did receive a quote from a company that has a different work model where they will replace all of the equipment, repair any of the equipment, but it's a yearly maintenance fee of $15,000.
We can replace all of them for 40 and they want 15 a year?
Correct.
What kind of warranty does that carry with it?
It carries, if there's anything broken, they will repair it automatically.
What's the outright purchase? Do you know what kind of options they have as far as their warranty? Do they come and do the
For
whole?
that company, no. But what the proposal that we received from them was that it would be a flat rate of $15,000 a year to replace all of the equipment. If there's anything that is breaks or lack of better terms, they would repair that at no cost because that would be a part of our yearly maintenance. Yearly maintenance of $15,000 ongoing.
When was the last time we replaced the jail camera?
It's like we're connected sometimes. Stole that thought right out of my head.
It's been, I'm gonna say, I'd like to, I'm gonna say 10 years, 10, 15 years. If they are failing, right?
Well, I know
So-
we've added some jail cameras because we put them in that hall when David was here. But those are newer ones, so not all of them are that old, but quite a few of them are, Doug.
So the 15,000 per year, is there an upfront fee? Just 15 a year?
And are we getting ourselves in trouble though committing future boards to that cost?
We have
Well, it's
that
no
on
difference than-
multiple things.
Yeah.
That's- It would probably be a yearly agreement that we would sign.
That's what I was just gonna ask you, is
Yeah.
would,
It's not gonna, yeah.
if that was a
it's
yearly agreement, then that
it's
gets us
gonna
out
be a
of it,
yearly
yeah.
agreement, right?
For sure.
It's not gonna be, but it's something that, instead of that 40, it would be reduced to 50, but we would in fact budget for that.
So technically, we're looking at, I mean, it could cost another $100,000 over the course of 10 years, other than just buying them outright at 40 and putting them in and being done with it.
That is very true. But if you have one of them break or all of them break, argument is have to pay another, probably not that much.
What has Jeremy said? Have you talked to him about this? Does he have any
I don't
thoughts?
know if he's leading one
Expensive either
direction
way.
or not. We can talk with him and find out. So what we'll do is just leave it as it is. We'll talk with him and then try to.
The road to the poorhouse is paved with good deals.
It just feels like if we're spending that much money difference, that, I mean, all the cameras should last at least 5 years or 6 or 7 years. I
Well,
mean,
cameras are like radios. Every so many years, everybody wants to replace them because they don't work. We buy so many radios, it's phenomenal.
And that's why this company has gone to this new model.
Is that a quote based on our size, or is that a generic quote?
That's a firm bid.
Hmm.
Firm quote.
Well, let's leave this one. Will you talk to Jeremy, see how he
Yeah, but
feels
what-
about
What
it?
I will do is, so I just want to be clear on if we remove the backup boiler, if we remove some of the buildings, you guys increase that budget to 300,000. If we remove these, what would you guys like to see?
In Pilt?
To be the one.
What do you talk about?
but what do we raise there?
Scott Kling and requested back to the
Back to the
120
120.
was
Okay.
for.
Oh, you're talking about buildings and grounds
Correct.
budget.
Yeah, we
Okay,
left it from 120 to 3.
right.
If we're taking the pill stuff out, he requested.
I think we need to update that to like 150 because when we move EOC, that room's going to need to be redone. I mean, prosecuting attorney's office is asking us to look at shuffling this courthouse. There's going to be some walls that need to be built or some taken down, in my opinion.
And you're saying 125 to 150 instead of 300?
I don't think he's going to need 300 to do anything, but
What's your number?
I'm just thinking we go to 150. I mean, if Scott wants 120 and he all of a sudden, has some other things in the courthouse that have to be redone, 30,000 would at least give us some room to do something. I mean, the mold room was worth what, 50?
50,000. Hey Doug, is there any of that stuff we can pay with court facilities?
Can. But
Like the boiler?
I wouldn't
Not for
say-
the jail, no, that
No,
would
that's
work.
coming out of Pilt anyway. the
Yeah.
backup. If you do some improvements to this building for prosecuting attorney or
We could
any
do-
improvements to this building, the commissioners could look at using court facilities.
And how much is in that one?
I think 70,000's left.
I think if we take this one to 150, that should give us some room and then have a little bit extra,
Yeah.
in court
I
facilities.
thought
if we
court
need it.
facilities had more than that, but
Well, we know that's gonna cost money to move things around, like you said, and
Oh,
I think
yeah.
it's gonna cost more than $25,000 or
Yeah.
$30,000 if we wanna start putting walls in and.
And let's
so,
put that
so
to
Gabby, let's
200
take that
then.
one back to 150. And then let's go look at court facilities and see what's in
I say
there.
we start with 150 and see where we are.
Yeah,
I mean, I would
And of course,
Guess that we're gonna-
facilities have 70 or something in it. We could get some more there if we needed to.
$77,000 is what's left in court
And then,
facilities.
don't we get some more money in that here pretty quick?
Not very much. I mean, you get a portion every turnover from fines and costs. A portion of that does go into court facilities for maintaining of the court, but it doesn't increase as much as you would like every year.
As it used to.
And fairgrounds, while we're here, can we
So
increase?
Fairgrounds does have a cash forward of
15 is what I said.
correct that we will be accounting for.
So did they know they had this money?
I don't think they know they have the 15 because
We just made the payment and we just got turnover, so that's, yeah, how it ended up.
so if we raise theirs a bit so that Allison can get some help fixing some of that stuff and isn't working on all that stuff herself, that might be a benefit. So can we take fairgrounds to 15 and then they have to work on some of this stuff themselves?
Gabby, can you pull up fairgrounds, please?
So what we would do, those commissioners, if you did increase their budget, we would just account for 15,000 of cash forward to assist with the funding of that. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
So it should be around 47,
Yeah.
47? I don't know if I want to go that much. They're getting 32,000.
48,000. We
Again-
added 15 to the $33,475 that we have committed for this year. We're wanting to increase that by 15. We would use the cash forward to fund that 15 and then levy for the 33,475.
Okay.
Make sense?
Is that going to bite us next year, though? Are they going to come in and expect a $45,000?
Why wouldn't we just remove that 15,000 from the levy side? If we have the cash forward? Sorry, what I was just thinking is if we have $15,000 that we're already
Yeah, if you
sitting
guys
on,
wanted to levy.
couldn't we
an
reduce that
additional
33?
15,000 well, my understanding is you want to provide an additional contribution to the Fair Board or increase their budget, I should say.
Why not just give them the 15 that's already there right now and then just levy?
It's not budgeted for.
Not in this year's budget?
No. We've
So
already.
we've been carrying 15 for a while?
I don't, we could take a look and see how it got in there. I don't know.
Okay.
This is the first time that a commissioner has brought it to my attention that we have that 15,000.
Imagine it's me,
And I
I'm sorry.
can look to see if it's from our most recent turnover, to see if that's when it got in
May have
there.
been last year because they didn't have a fair. That would be my guess, but
Yeah, you're probably right, Sherry.
I mean,
You just don't know they have an
try
extra
to do this.
$15,000. I don't know about adding that onto their budget so they expect that much every year.
well, what I'm wondering is if we, Scott doesn't want to spend any more money on him. Well, maybe we use that 15 in order to do some of these things that they need done. And then I don't know, it'll be interesting to see what they actually have as income this year after the fair.
Mm-hmm. How did you find that 15,000?
It's just on the remaining cash report.
Oh. I know one time we saw a budget from them and they gross revenue was $83,000 or $85,000. Like, wow.
That's gross.
Yeah.
Their net is what we gotta figure out. We need them to be profitable. And it's, I mean, what I really need them to do is have a good, strong budget. So we know exactly,
Doesn't sound
What
like they really
monies
know
they
what they
need.
got for a budget.
oh, that's, they haven't done it before, honestly. So they gave us some ideas on what they need, so,
Is that the list there? Kind of?
yeah. And there are some things that, you know, they definitely need some improvements down at the fairgrounds. The fairgrounds are falling down around their ears on a lot of those buildings. So, I mean, if we had 15,000 to put in down there, it would make a big difference to some of those buildings. They all need painted, they all need some stuff done to them.
I'll continue to research that. It's gotta be from.
I think Sherry's right. They didn't have much of a fair last year, so there's probably money
It's
left
not
in.
making sense to me. We provided them with that contribution last year. I don't know exactly what it was. I think that's all that we have, or that's all that we needed at this point in time, commissioners. We'll, the numbers in, provide you guys with a worksheet. We'll have another budget workshop. It'll be the last one, but it's possible that everyone.
What's the last day that we
Realistically,
have to make a decision?
we have to publish for at least 1 week, where the general public has the ability to view it, which would be on the 16th. So really, the drop dead deadline is the 16th. We were hoping that we could publish for 2 weeks, which would be on the 9th. I do have some reservations that we're gonna be able to accomplish that, but we'll do our best to try,
Well, worst case scenario, we have 2 more weeks to discuss.
yes. 16th of August is a Monday.
Happens all the time.
Yes. To have our hearing on the 23rd, yeah.
Okay, are we done?
Not done, but we're
We're getting closer by the day.
getting closer.
And that gets us now.
So I'm gonna move on down our agenda if that's okay with everybody. And our next,
Make a
does anybody
motion.
need a break?
Yeah, let's take a quick break.
Quick break, and then we're gonna go into an executive session after that.
Can I
Want to go in, so
get you guys to sign this? This was a document that they did not receive from, it was the MOA for the SUDS program for juvenile probation that you guys did approve. I just verified on June 14th, but unfortunately
Never
they
signed
didn't.
it,
Yeah, they did not get that, so.
ask Tamara about the website, and she knows that there are some issues on the website.
I
They're
was
asking
gonna
that-
say, those were obvious, and I was like, I'm not gonna tell her, but she probably already knows. I saw the same thing with the side of our stuff was cut off, and a couple of the other pages, it was just like the edge was.
Okay,
There, that one, I already saw that one.
You guys wanna go into executive and then take the break? Or you
Sure.
wanna take a break and then executive?
Let's go executive. I'll make the motion. We go into executive session for Idaho Code 742061B. B.
Second,
Moved and seconded by roll call.
Bingman, aye.
Pop and I.
Hasbrook, aye, and Doug will be in probably at about 4:08, 4:07.